Thanks for coming.
Welcome, everybody, to Operation Grow, Season 4, Episode 6. This Halloween episode being Horror Stories from the Grow Room. More than welcome to dive in. We'll be sharing the link in a little bit, and we're hopefully going to get to hear about some rather good horror stories. I'm sure we've all got some, either personal ones or we know people who've had them. And you can learn from somebody else's mistake. That's the best way, the best mistakes to learn from. And kicking off, let's have a quick little round of introductions, see how everybody's doing this evening. Let's start with Smiley, new to the show this week, joining us. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. What's going on? Happy Halloween.
Yeah, I tell you what, actually, I can't keep this up. This is so hot.
No, you got to drop it already.
Well, let's see how long
That's
we
the
go.
professional.
What's the timestamp? What's the timestamp?
Right? No shit. How long did he make it?
Like fucking 10 seconds.
It's more like the fact that
Who
burning
had
my
13
eyes, I think, is
seconds?
the problem.
Oh, we got 50. 50
It's
seconds.
tomorrow when I wake up and I go, I'm not an animal.
It looks cool.
The zits are gonna be like you're in high school again.
Yeah, exactly. But how's everybody's Halloween going so far then?
Good.
I'll seal that up.
Just about to kick off in about an hour.
Hopefully everybody's just trick-or-treating from home this year.
No, I got a little get together. I'm actually kind of peeking over my shoulder because my girl's gonna get home soon and we're supposed to take off. But yeah, we got a little. It's somebody's birthday today, supposedly, or birthday party. So.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. Well, then we better not waste any time when it comes to your potential horror stories from the Grow Room. You'll probably have to kick us off with those before we lose you to the real horror of the night. But let's quickly go around. Genetic Memory Farms, how are you doing, sir?
I am excellent. Just saying hello to Chat. Good to see you, Chat. Thanks for coming by. Always a pleasure. I'm having a good day. Just working another cob, trying to cut the times in half. This cob's going to be a deep chunk. That's about it. Just hanging out with y'all. Looking forward to the highlight of my Saturday now. Every Saturday. I dig it. So, and just want to say a special thank you to Smiley for joining us, man. Appreciate you coming to our little corner of the internet.
A little area of insanity. And Duckweed, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, what's up, everyone? I'm fine. Just been what I've been doing today? Fuck. Oh, I had some food with some pretty spicy pepper. We call pepper sauce. Had me contemplating life for a little bit. But yeah, other than that, I collected pretty much. I collected some pollen from LSD autoflower that I reversed.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I don't know how anybody
it.
does that.
Nice to be here hanging out with you guys.
I tell you what, respect to those people that do actors. Yeah, I take my hat off to you. Anybody who has to wear that kind of prosthetic for anything more than what? 5 minutes, 4 minutes. Whoa. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I think you're still on fire though.
Yeah, I turned the effect off. Jesus, that's nuts, man. And yourself, Tyler, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well myself. Looking forward to take the little ones out to the little gathering for Halloween.
Nice.
Daughter's first one, so she's pretty excited.
Cool. Yeah, they were doing something around the village here where rather than like knocking on doors and everybody dunking their hands into the same communal bowl of sweets, there was like spot the pumpkins in the windows and there were people putting up little pumpkins and they had to like tally them up as they went along, sort of thing. But it has been quite strange to not have any kids knock on the door. Every year there's knock. So on that note, then this, as I said, this episode is going to be about Grow Room horror stories. Smiley, as we know, you might be a bit tight for time, sir.
Yeah, man, I was just sitting here trying to think of a good one because there's been several for sure. So, Yeah, I mean, well, one that came to mind was so in my basement room, I have kind of 4 scrogs set in an L shape, and at the time I was using HPS, and I had uh, the XL hoods or whatever over them, the vented hoods. So anyway, I had 2 fans operating, so each there were 2 lights on each fan basically, so it was working that way. Well, then I started noticing that like one of the lights started like just totally running hot underneath it, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. The fan was working, shit was going on, and yeah, I ended up totally wasting the scrog underneath it. I mean, it roached them totally, and moved new plants under there, and still had a problem because I thought I had it figured out, and I did not. But what it boiled down to was the tubing that's up over my head there.
Mm-hmm.
That tubing has multiple layers to it, and the silver is just the outside to kind of make it dark. There's like a clear plastic layer on the inside of that clear plastic layer came separate, like it worked itself separate and somehow like twisted in a knot. So even though the fan was running and there was some air moving, it was like twisted in a knot to where it just made the whole thing overheat to where it should have been. So yeah, anyway. So that was my horror story. Make sure you replace your tubing.
Yeah, and keep an eye on. I mean, we've actually had somebody mention that they noticed, for instance, that the temperature wasn't dipping every time. They were getting an alert to say temperatures were going up, and they go, but the fan's running. I don't understand why this isn't going on. And noticed that a piece of cloth had been sucked up, and had got itself lodged in the fan. So although he thought the fan was on, and it actually wedged the fan. So it was lucky it didn't start a fire. The motor burning out because the fan can't turn. Yeah. Those are some scary moments.
Yeah, they just it definitely, yeah, you freak out when your plants are hurting, man, for sure.
And especially if you can't see what's causing it. It's like, something like that, yeah. So keep an eye on the lining of your ducting pipework.
Yeah. The other one would be quarantining, but russet mite stories are like on and on and on and never ending. So
yeah, actually, that's probably the most common horror story that you hear is, oh yeah, I went to this trade show or convention or cup and I picked up these cuts and got home and next minute my entire place. And it's going to the grow shop will do that to you if you don't change your clothes. Think about it, everybody's going in there. That's that central point.
Could be, yeah, for sure.
I know people who
hugging on everybody. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah. Hey, do you have spider mites? Nah, now you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Raptor, how you doing, sir?
What's up, Raptor?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Hope everyone's having a good day or night, whatever time zone you're in. I'm doing pretty good. Was busy yesterday, basically trying to fix this hot water problem that we had. Like family member noticed that part of the downstairs was like really hot, and then they put their hand to the floor, and then it was like it was hot. It was so hot that they had to like put their hand away, like, whoa, the fuck? And I got my temp gun and it was like 140. Yeah, the fucking floor. We have tile floor. We have ceramic tile floor, so it was like rating for a couple days. We're like, what the fuck is going on? We just thought it was the heat because we had a slight heat wave. And so it turns out the people that set up our water heater set it up to like the second to the highest level. So we put it down to vacation mode, and then we drained out all the water, and then we let it fill up. That took 2 hours. So yeah, that was what I was up to last night. And then I that whole period of time I had I set up so that I can work on agar. I finally had everything set up, and then I was like, okay, I'm all done. I did all the cleaning after I was done with all that stuff, and then I looked at the clock and it was fucking like 4:30. I was like, in the morning. I was like, fuck that. So I just went to sleep. So unfortunately, didn't get any of the stuff that I wanted to get done, but I got the important stuff done. That obviously I don't want fucking a hot water geyser going through the middle of my house. So yeah, it's been a little like up and down, but I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I think that'll probably be as close to the horror story. The other one I have is about botrytis, and it was my first grow. But yeah, I'll let everyone else go first because I was the last one in.
No, absolutely, man. No worries about that. Yeah, and horror stories, like how to avoid them. I mean, like things, don't put your electrical stuff on the floor. Keep it off. No plug sockets on the floor. Everything at least a foot off the floor. I mean, I think we were just sort of
Irrigation
chatting.
one side, electricity the other.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the grow Forum 420. I think the guys are in the channel, and one of them was mentioning that they had that experience where like I think it got flooded, and then yes, whoops, the extension cable that's on the floor. That's a bit of a shocking experience.
Yeah, I'll say
breakers
so.
are for?
Sorry?
Isn't that what circuit breakers are for?
Yeah.
It doesn't really help you out if your feet are touching the floor, but yeah, it helps your house. Helps your house.
You
Right
become the
there.
circuit
Yeah.
breaker. Hey,
Yes,
where'd they
yes.
go?
Yeah, I have heard of. I use Bluemonts actually, or Bluemat, however, it doesn't matter pronunciation. Uh, and I've actually heard a lot of people complaining that, oh, I get flooded. I get floods, and it just seems like it's one of those things that if you don't do it, if you don't follow the instructions and read the manual, crazy idea, that you're going to have issues. And especially with this, I've either heard, oh, it's too dry and I'm not getting the flow and consistent watering that I want, or, oh, I'm getting I'm getting flooded. So I've had no problems in terms of flooding. But I use their moisture meter, which uses MBAR to figure out the the moisture within the soil, how much water retention there is. So I started off with their 100 MBAR, but because I use a fabric pot, which is just constantly getting aeration, I found that like depending on how hot it is, like if it's summer, probably closer to 60, 65. But if it's winter, 70-ish, 80-ish in the MBAR. And 100 MBAR is their living soil mark. And as the number goes down, it actually increases in moisture. So if it was like 150, I would need to water it. So I think that's the biggest issue there, that people aren't spending the extra. I mean, it sucks to spend the $50 for the moisture meter, but you're not sucking up fucking water with a shop vac for an hour. Oh man, I need to unhook this. I need to do this. It's like, why don't you just follow? If you're buying something from a company and you're really trying to work with them, listen
Follow
to
the
their
instructions.
not only follow the instructions, but hey, you need a moisture meter for this. It's just one of those things. If you already have one and it works for you, you don't, I mean, I'm not going to tell you to spend that much money. But I happen to go out of my way and buy the digital moisture meter, and I've never had an issue. My only issue was trying to figure out how to add more moisture because of the constant aeration from the fabric pots. That was the only thing for me. So if anyone uses a fabric pot and is looking into Bluemonts, you might want to go a little more to like 80 MBAR and then work from there. I live in a very there's times in where I live in Southern California where it gets very dry. there's like a season, like a month at least, where it's just constant dryness. So I kind of need to work with that, especially if you live in the desert. Work with that. If you know you're more dry, you might need a little bit more moisture within your soil. But that's what I have to say. I keep hearing either, oh, it's too dry, or I flooded everything. This piece of shit. It's like it's usually user error. I
Yep.
try my best. Yeah. Do you
All right,
you
Smarty.
got to jump out?
Yeah,
Say
man,
say
I
it.
got my
You
girl
gotta go
just
trick
showed
or
up,
treat.
so I gotta get going trick or treat
Yeah,
party.
nice
So
man. Thank you
I
so
do
much for
want to.
coming
Hey,
in.
if we're still
appreciate the
going when you
invite.
get back, you're more than welcome to dive back in, dude.
All right, man, I will.
You've got the link,
Appreciate
so
that.
feel free.
Thanks,
It was
bro.
nice
I'm
having
glad
you,
you went
Smiley.
first.
Weed.
Stay safe.
See you later, guys.
See you over at Eagles.
Man, have fun with the kiddos.
This is actually, and it's Tyler's horror story, but it's one of flooding, and one that people should also pay attention to in terms of save you. Because what happened with Tyler was he had a large, 40-liter reservoir,
Ooh.
and when he zipped the tent up, he forgot to leave enough gap because he was doing passive. I think he got passive air intake, and the extraction fan didn't leave enough gap to cater for how strong the extraction fan was. I think he said he accidentally zipped it closed, and of course it sucked in the tent. And with the water reservoir right up against the side of the tent, as the tent sucked in, it just went gunk, just knocked the
Oh,
water
because he was
reservoir
using
over.
that tension. Ooh.
And it just pushed the water reservoir over it, so that 40 liters just dumped straight into the grow tent. And then that's one I've seen happen quite a few times. Be
40
careful.
liters in a grow tent. That's awesome.
Suddenly you're
So
doing
just for everybody out
DWC.
there, that works out to 10 gallons. That's about 10, 11 gallons of liquid right into
in a
it.
4x4, I think he was doing. So
Yeah.
not, it's like
Yeah,
5-gallon buckets worth of liquid.
Yeah, I actually went with the 5-gallon myself. I use a 5-gallon bucket, and it actually came in a kit that they provide, the people at Blue Map. But you can use your own stuff. You can tap your own holes. You can get a tote that can handle all of that stuff. Just make sure that it's reinforced on the side, that it's actually built to handle that
oh yeah, this
stretching out.
This just got knocked clean over. It just got because the whole tent just went and sucked in, and that's something. Yeah, tents getting sucked in. You got to check how strong is that extraction. Make sure you've got enough air intake if you're going to run. If you've got a speed control fan, test it at 100%. Don't just put it in and walk away, because when the first time the fan cranks itself up to 100%, your whole tent might just suck in on itself.
Yeah, I have mine exhausting from the top, and my exhaust is actually on the outside, so I can save height, and I can actually raise my lights a little more. But I have that option. Fortunately, not everyone has that option. Oh man, I've heard the other horror stories myself of the exhaust just boom. It's like, oh, I got this killer fucking cut. Boom. You got half a cut or a quarter cut now.
How resilient is it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, and then Lefty was also in chat confirming, that happened at midnight. He just sent pictures like that. And shame, I mean, it's pity he's not on. I'm going to tell all his horror stories. Okay, so somebody I know, okay. Speaking for a friend. He also had, a tent collapse on him where, check the quality of the make of the tent. And I think he said it was given to him as a freebie or something like that. But where one of the corner supports sheared and it crashed in on the tent. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I think that was also some like 2 a.m. or something ridiculous like that.
It always happens when you're like just getting into sleeping. Like, okay, there, your eyes are right there. You just have that one last centimeter crash or splash. Oh man. At least you don't. The one I don't want to hear is just boom.
Yeah, the
That
smoke
one,
alarm going off is
yeah.
the one you don't want to hear.
Yeah. Oh man, that I mean, I could deal with water. You could suck that up, and you can kind of deal with water damage to an extent. Fire's fire.
Smoke
Oof.
damage, yeah. And unfortunately, that attracts attention. If you flood your
A wee bit.
basement, if you flood your building, if you flood your house, yeah, nobody's really going to notice. Nobody knows from the outside. If you set it on fire, everybody fucking notices. It's definitely one of those.
Lefty says 5 minutes, and he'll give us some good ones.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
been moving. He's been moving.
Oh, that's right. That's what he was
yeah.
mentioning last time. He was like, "Oh, everything's in disarray." Like, he was up the night before, on last Friday, putting everything away in boxes, making sure everything's all good. Hope everything's going well for you, man.
Yeah. So,
Yep,
Duckweed,
and,
how about yourself, sir? Yeah.
Well, first to begin, I remind myself because I just remembered. Get out of top chat and go in live chat. For all those
Yes,
in
yes,
there
yes.
who
Don't
haven't
forget,
done that.
top chat ain't that top.
Okay, top chat. So yeah. Well, which one do I start at? There's this one day I was just setting up. So I don't usually run cold or anywhere close to cold temperatures in my grow because of where I'm from. I would have to run air conditioner to do that. So I decided for this grow to take two of the plants and run them in a room where I had an air conditioned unit. So while setting that room up, I took one of the fans out to the old grow and washed it and left it to dry for a couple hours. And then I plugged that bad boy in, and well, I have this habit. Anytime I make new adjustments to the grow, I try to be around for at least a few hours. Specifically because of what I'm going to say now. And I went off doing some other stuff, and I was like, let me go check I had my that hygrometer in there. So I was like, let me go see what's the humidity and the temperature looking like or whatever. Just as I open the door, I smell like something burning. I'm like, what the fuck? Just as I walk in, I see the fan, the blades of the fan just about to stop spinning. And I'm like, dang. So apparently I thought the fan was dry and it really wasn't. And water got somewhere it wasn't supposed to be, I guess. And that was the end of Humpty Dumpty. But and then this other time again making some changes. I had a piece of 2x4 running across the grow room. I think it was probably holding up a fan or something, a wall mounted fan. And knocked that shit over straight on my two clones that I just recently rooted. First time ever rooting clones. Both of them broke in half. So did my heart. But they didn't make it though. So I took some more and definitely got the so. So I would say anytime you make new changes, if you don't got probably one of Pete's systems, definitely stick around for a few to make sure everything is running right. Because you never fucking know, man. And like Pete said, fires may attract a wee bit of attention.
just a small bit, but I mean, it's one of those things. It's always to keep it, and whether it's our system or not, and it's that is actually one of the real bonuses behind having something. Because bear in mind, the minute you close that door and walk away, the second you close the door, everything could go off, and you don't know until you come back. So if there is something, whatever, find a product that allows you to get some kind of notification that something's gone wrong. And it really is, it's all about A lot of the monitoring stuff in terms of being alerted is not for when it's going right. It's for when it goes wrong. And then you'll wish you had more of them installed. Now, I've had people, you go, okay, you want to put 20, 30, 40 sensors in. They go, oh, that seems like overkill. I go, yeah, right up to the point where it goes wrong. And then you'll go, shit, why didn't I have 200 of them in there? Something to, sensors only monitor the very little space that they occupy. It doesn't measure something across the room. So if you got a 100 square foot area and you put a sensor in the middle of it, well, it tells you what the temperature is in the middle of, and in that really specific point in space. And you now need to spread them out. So you put one every 10 meters or every 10 feet, and you've got a grid of 10 by 10. And okay, so it's a 10 by 10 grid. If I put 20 by 20, I've got a much tighter grid. The resolution goes up. So instead of me identifying the problem, if I got one sensor in the room, I only notice the problem if I get like botrytis. I only notice it when it's become a real problem, and I don't know where it started. I don't know what direction it was moving in. But if I've got some way of tracking that, oh, that back left corner is the damp, cold spot, chances are that's where the problem starts. And then you can just isolate that little piece. So yeah, it's really more about when everything goes wrong is that ability to isolate where it went wrong quickly. Hey, Kino, how you doing, buddy? Hey, Smash.
No, I'm actually good tonight, mate. So you've got to behave in Kino. Thanks for having us on, man. Appreciate
absolutely,
it.
Man.
Yeah.
Jump in.
So yeah, how's everyone? All right?
Yeah, we're all doing good.
Good to hear. Happy Halloween. I've hidden away from the kids with some of their sweets, so I'm all right for a little while. Happy days.
Doing good, man. Thank you for the invite. I actually plan on making my profile very soon. I was just getting some mushroom material. I specifically asked if it was okay to post that kind of stuff, and they're all for it. So thank you so much for the invitation, and I look forward to posting some stuff up, and yeah, I'll make sure to put out links to that profile and everything I do, and do little updates on Instagram and kind of follow through from there. I would like to get into the nitty gritty of everything, and I don't think I can do that on Instagram. So I'm just gonna choose different areas and then post links to exactly where people can find them. So thank you again for the invitation.
No, cool, man. In the forum, yeah? Is in documenting on the forum.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. That's what a forum was all about. They're old school, but you can be a bit more detailed in your approach and organise things. So yeah, no, it'd be great. I mean, it's something a bit different from what we do, but we'd be a bit ignorant with the health, the medical side of it and the research going into it. It's where it kind of started, really. So it would be a bit ignorant not to dig into it. So yeah, man, it's good.
Oh, and I see Ian chat says something like every fucking half year the daylight saving screws up his flowering schedule. Now that's an interesting thing, because if you use a timer for your lighting, use one that doesn't automatically adjust to the daylight savings. Then you can change it when it's in the dark period. You can then or in the light period, whatever. You can just shorten the light period all of a sudden, and it will adjust accordingly. But ones that dynamically adapt themselves to whatever the current time zone, update automatically for daylight savings, avoid those.
Yeah, I like the actual pin press ones. Push up and down.
They're fine up to a certain wattage, and then they won't. If you use them to flick a larger relay, like a breaker switch. So if you use one of those to trip a breaker, fine. I know people who've burnt out so many of those pin press ones. The digital ones can handle a higher wattage running through them and higher amperage running through them. The problem is those contact relay, those little timer contacts burn out and they get stuck. And also, if you lose power, a lot of those, they don't keep going.
It will stop. I actually was down there last night. It's funny, horror stories. I was down there last night and I noticed one pin up in the middle of the cycle. So in my veg tent, one pin was up, so the light was cutting off halfway through for 15 minutes.
Yeah, man. I use one of those same thin ones that I used to use prior when I was doing planted aquarium. And yo, we got power outages quite a lot in the hurricane season here. Damn. It's a fucking pain, man.
Hey, outdoor growing.
Yeah, but then you got that rain to deal with. And
Yeah.
so
Ooh.
I think the smart thing to do would be like the veg, like just coming to the end of the rainy season, which is like kind of the tail end of the hurricane season into the dry season. So that rain wouldn't really affect you that much because you're just vegging. But
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. I mean, and that's something that, yeah, different considerations that need to be made depending on where you're growing stuff. I mean, yeah, there you are with, but that's it. You know, cultivars for your region have adapted themselves to high humidity all year round.
yeah, that's apart from the fucking seed I was showing you all yesterday. I was showing you all how the buds, the calyxes, how they're pretty like spaced out and all airy.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm gonna you cool with me showing that picture, yeah? What is
Yeah.
That picture is amazing, brother. I'm telling you, this is going to be the new thing. This is going to be the new way. I
so
see this.
some people germinate their seeds in paper towels. Some people germinate their seeds, soaking them or putting them straight into the soil or whatever they're doing.
Soil.
The Trinidad Tobago way of doing germination. Yeah, just leave it on the plant, man.
And then let the rain do the thing for itself.
Yeah, why you stress, man?
That is fantastic. And they look so healthy.
Yeah. I get some update pictures.
That's mad, man.
How they come along, but I guess they'll germinate like any other regular seed.
Yeah.
If you look closely to the one to the bottom right, that actually has the first two leaves right there. What do you call them?
Cotyledons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That is some mad shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that, but yeah, that's the natural way of doing it, isn't it? You don't get much more organically natural grown than it. Doing it inside
Definitely
the
have
bud,
to sacrifice a lot of butter for that shit.
I just
As
do
you
it
can
for the
clearly see
seeds.
what's going around.
Yeah.
But it's cool that how this plant, they have this, all of them have this home tendency in them that just survival instincts just kick in no matter how, where, what, or why.
Yeah, got a real hair trigger.
Yeah.
Hey, Lefty.
Hey guys,
You're looking cold there, buddy.
it's a little chilly out, man. Coldest day we've had around here in a while.
Yeah. How's the move going? All good?
I'm fucking tired, man. I hate moving. I
don't think anybody enjoys it apart from the moving
Yeah.
company who's being paid to do it.
It's going all right. I got all the girls moved last night. That was interesting. They all seemed to survive. Nothing got broke, damaged. But man, those Operation Girl, fucking those things are some big plants. When I pulled them out of that 3x3, they were holding each other up.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a mess to try and move those, and yeah.
But they're much bigger.
Moved. They got flipped at about.
Nice. So now they're into the flowering cycle.
Yeah, they got flipped about 4 o'clock this morning.
Cool. Are you going to? Okay.
So I just put them on 12.
On that topic, are you continuing with the leaf stripping, popping, etc.?
Yeah, pretty much so far. Just been doing the popping thing, and then on that one plant, I've been super cropping it. But yeah, I'll definitely be getting on it more now that I have more space. Just I'm there to work with them. I mean, you saw them; they were insane.
Yeah, they're really big. In fact.
Yeah, but
Big plants is not a horror story.
I'll definitely start. Yeah. The only horror story I had is transporting those things at fucking midnight.
Allegedly. Oh, I wanted to see. We've got pictures of them somewhere here. Oh, there we go.
A minute to just welcome. I didn't see you guys jump on. Hi, Smash, Taikino. Nice to have you guys.
Cool, man. How you doing?
Excellent. Good to have you, brother.
Oh, hey,
Nice one for having me.
Page 2.
Page 2, yeah. That's that's them ready to go in the Autopot system under a Canon LED from Black Sail Market.
Yep.
Wow, those are taking up a lot of space, man. But they're in a bigger home now.
So yes, they are a bigger space. Last week I had anywhere from 30 to 37 inches.
Wow.
Last night they're all at 47, like 47, 48. So they grew about close to 9 inches a foot in what, 5 days?
You've got a stretch still to come.
Some big girls, man.
Yeah.
They'll all get cropped, man. They'll
You
all
got
get
high
cropped.
ceilings.
So I tend to veg and I just flatten them underneath the net when they're that big.
Yeah.
The lazy scrog method. Just flatten them with a net.
Yeah, it's
I put them, actually when I moved them, I put them.
Lefty. Oh, I think we might have lost Lefty.
Yeah, I'm here. I froze for a second.
Okay.
Maybe if you turn off your video,
yeah,
it might come in a little better.
Yeah. Face for radio.
Smash, did you hit us your horror story? I don't think so.
No. Oh, we might be losing Lefties. Go on then, Smash. Sorry, yeah. Let's hear one of your horror stories, buddy.
I cut the tip of my finger off trimming really high. In fact.
Okay. Yep, that's a horror story.
Yeah, I don't even know how. I was using different trimmers and stuff, and I was up for like 24 hours doing like a bunch of emergency stuff outside for the snow. Then I had to come home and chop, so I tried to trim as soon as I chopped, and it wasn't a good idea.
Mad that you get used to different trimmers, different shapes, different sizes. I started using the curved ones for the first time ever, a lot of the curved blade ones, and I kept catching my fingers, just nipping them. But it was just I was used to using like the grape picking type flat trimmers. But yeah, you do get used to them, and it took me so much longer that trim. Once you get used to one set, you're all right. But it took me like a whole trim to get used to that using them ones. But
yeah,
that is not very nice, Rash.
And when you, I mean, it's when you get that. I've done it. I've sliced through a finger when I was reaching around to just my chili plants. Let's be clear here. Reaching around and you go, oh, you kind of almost watch yourself do it. I mean, that's the crazy thing. You sort of see, and it's like, fuck.
Shit.
Brand new pair of super sharp scissors, and it's like, wow, okay, that's deep. Oh, it's making me tense my fingers just thinking
it's
of
one of them
it.
ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
I started to whole plant hang and trim after, unless I'm doing something fresh frozen. So normally, if it's all flour, like smokable flour, it's all whole plant hang now, and I'll trim after the drying process.
Safety first, eh? I use a bowl trimmer for that reason now. Anything over 4 plants. I know a lot of people don't like them, but it's just for the time and effort. I just throw them through there. They don't do too much damage. You use them properly and set the blade distance right on them. Depending on the strain. If you put a strain through that's foxtailing out and you put the blade tight to the grill, you're going to lose a load of bud. But
I see that trim bag gets quite a lot of coverage. Does anybody use a trim bag or used a trim bag? I've never actually used it or.
I've seen people, but I've never used one. Only on YouTube too. I've really never seen anyone that I grow or know that grows use them. But if you have like the crops, like a lot of outdoor big crops, Cali, like farmers use them to get through it quick, and then you got to go back in, and sometimes they don't even really do that good of a job. Like they just get like the leaf, like most of the leaf matter off, and you still got to go back in and get the like a lot of those like real close sugar leaves.
Yeah. And again, when when it's personal, I mean, who just does a farmer's trim? I mean, it's like, fuck it, it's for me. I don't care.
That's it, isn't it? It's just,
I mean,
a bit rough.
My cousin Trip likes to leave all the sugar leaves on in the jar. I mean, leave that little bud wrapped up as much as you can in the natural leaf that it comes with, and all the trichomes that happen to get knocked and bumped and fall off all get kept nicely together in that little package. And you take it out the jar and you just peel the leaves off and away you go.
It's like a little sweet up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's his own little wrapper.
I used to do this now just because I go for oil. So for me, it's a bit different. Whereas the bowl trimmer collects all of the trim and even bits of bud just go through the oil process anyway. So, but I tried dry trimming. I've always done wet trim, and I just can't get on with it. I can't. But to me, it's a messy trim almost. But there's people that obviously dry trim that would probably trim a lot neater than I ever would. But it's just same with the scissors. Like I said, you get used to certain things, and I hung these autos upside down because I had no time. I just couldn't get my head around the dry trim. It drove me bandy, man. But yeah,
I see Purple Thumb saying he's doing that. Yeah, the rough trim where you just do that initial. Well, I think it's a really good tip is if you actually water them, give them a good water before you're going to trim them. I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but what you can do is before you chop it down, if you give it a good watering, it's nice and turgid. So all the stalks and the leaves, all the big fan leaves, you can just pick off. You can just go through, and before you chop it, don't cut the branch off and then do it, or cut the plant down and then start doing it. Because the second you cut it, it'll start to wilt. From that point onwards, it starts wilting. And while it's still nice and turgid, all those primary fan leaves just snap off really, really easily. You can go through it quite quickly. You won't tear it or anything. Get rid of all of those and then cut it and hang the whole plant if you're going to do it that way. Hey, Shipwreck, how you doing, buddy?
I usually
good.
Perfect time, just as it's that weight training, as you take a mouthful. How's the meal, sir?
I usually give my buds a little trim on the plant before I actually cut them. And then after I cut it down, go into a little more detail. So when it's dry, it's just straight in the jar.
I mean, I've seen people who will let the plant, leave it to be bone dry in the pot. So long as it's got like a tomato cage or something to hold it up so it doesn't just collapse. And then you just let it go completely and just let the whole thing dry where it stands. I've seen that technique being done. I don't know if it was deliberate or just, oh shit, I forgot about it. Went on holiday.
So I sometimes I guess I shut off watering and I let the soil dry out. Like I do, I have an organic system, so flushing's like a impossible thing, kind of. So yeah. I don't want to flush out all my microbiology and all that shit and restart my soil. So I kind of just stop watering like a week or two. So the plant stops, like a week and a half, I want to say. So the plant just stops up taking water completely and dries. The roots dry out completely. And then, yeah, that's how I cut.
Yeah, it's an interesting one when you're growing, in soil. As that is the difference. I know, Kino, you a cocoa grower?
I am, mate. I think I'm the only one left in the world, don't I?
No.
All these organic growers on YouTube, but yeah.
Yeah. Organic strong. Well, cocoa strong.
Yeah. We got the cocoa.
Yeah, cocoa's organic. But that is an interesting thing with the soil. When you are growing in soil, obviously, if you're keeping it as if it's an ongoing one, not if it's just for that run and then you're getting rid of it. Yeah, then flush the fuck out of it. And it's the medium that you're flushing, not the plant. Let's be clear. Then flush the fuck out of that medium if you're just going to trash the soil at the end of it. It's very different if it's like a no-till living soil continuously going. But then what you really need to get the plant to do is to really kick into its full senescence. It really has to kick in. That plant needs to know season's over. I mean, this is an annual. It's not a perennial. If it knows that it's the end of the year, it will go through its proper life cycle. I mean, that's what you're really trying to encourage to happen naturally. And that's going to be environmental signals more than nutrient signaling that does that. You know, in cocoa, we kind of force it by just going, right, you're not getting anything more. So you're just going to have to eat yourself, essentially. In the soil medium, you need the plant to think. So that's where drop the temperatures, extend the dark period, make that even longer.
Yeah, I heard some people talk about when they switch over from veg to bloom or flower, they extend that time they switch from 18:6 to 12:12. So they slowly switch over to 12:12, like day by day, keep cutting back like an hour or so.
Yeah, so it's a bit more of a natural transition than just a hard. One day you're doing 18:6, the next day you're doing 12:12. It's sort of more of a, over the course of a week, they do a ramp down into the 12:12 zone.
But does just switching to 12:12, like most people I'm sure normally do, have any kind of like any effects on yield, or maybe a little bit of stress, but other than that?
I mean, I personally don't know. I mean, most of the time, and most people I know will do like an extended blackout period. So they won't just go, it'll go 18 and then it'll do 36 hours in total darkness and then switch into 12:12.
I've done the ramp down thing before, and I've never really seen a difference between just switching right to 12:12.
Yeah, I don't. When I do the transition to flower, I don't do it, but I ramp down at the end of flower.
Stretch
from
and
12
stretch
to
is the same.
11 to 10 for the last 3 weeks also.
Yeah.
My last grow, mind you, the first 2 weeks I did 12:12, and then I went to 11:13 because I made the decision to try that out.
And if you're running a tropical cultivar, so one that's not definitely within the tropics, dropping to like that 10:14 or 11:13, that's one way of making them finish off a bit quicker. Because naturally, they don't really get that. I mean, they very rarely are getting that kind of, as you know, I mean, we've got somebody living in the fucking Caribbean right here, along the tropics. It's that 12, you're kind of constantly in that. So if you do in a tent over there, if you do a blackout period for slightly longer, you can just shorten a really long flowering sativa just to bring it in a little bit.
Yeah, the last one in grew, flowered for like
pre-flowering.
For like 5 months. Yeah.
5 months, yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane, man.
Short flowering.
I was looking at all my buddies harvesting like 2-3 times, like, and I'm just there like, what?
We've got a few strains in stock. We've got that Santa Marta Haze from Sea Stockers in stock at the moment, and that's like, I think that's a 15-16 weeker. But you often, when you get the CC packets, a proper sativa, obviously they're underrated, so you might be looking at longer without. Just so much longer things go wrong in it. That's a problem. When you're doing these long flowers, it's always trying to tell new growers to stay away from the long flowers, because it's not for any other reason than it's more to go wrong, man. It's
And
a lot longer.
and they'll chop it down too early. I mean, I know a friend of mine, first time they were growing, and I mean, they grew autos, and this is the danger because they just went they've never grown before. They were growing it specifically for pain medication to get off he was involved in a really bad motorbike accident, and the only thing, I mean, he was telling me what was really funny is he told me, oh, there's like a lot of codeine for the pain. He said, like, there's nerve pain in my legs. I mean, the paramedics were amazed he walked away. Lived. He was airlifted out of the bike accident, and they poured him out of the helicopter at the other end. I mean, he was that fucked up. And he said, like, the nerve pain at night, he just can't sleep. So I said, oh, yeah, well, try this. You know, you don't want to smoke. Well, he has a chocolate, eat it and have it in a chocolate, see what it does. And he came back and went, wow, you know, it doesn't make it go away. It just makes it completely bearable, and I can sleep at night. Yeah. So now I want to grow it. Yeah, okay, fantastic. Get some autos. They're nice and easy. You don't have to worry about anything. You've got a little greenhouse at home. Just stick them in there. They'll be fine. Then he sends you the pictures of, oh, I chopped them down. And you're like, what? No, they still had 4 weeks to go. But it said it was from seed to harvest in X number of days. And you go, yeah, mate. But I tell you
Especially
what,
in a greenhouse. You know?
Send me a picture of those buds you've just dried in like 4 days' time. And there's like nothing. You go,
they're like lavender plants, aren't they? You know, I mean, I've done it myself when I first started growing. I know. And they were purple.
The thing is, like, especially them being new to smoking, it's probably still working as a med. You know what I mean? So it's
cheers,
like
Lefty. Sorry. Hey, buddy. Thanks for dropping in, man.
Yeah, later, guys. Have a good week.
Have a good Halloween, buddy.
Take care.
Catch you later, brother.
Everybody be safe.
Yeah,
Will do,
get
will
some
do.
rest, and good luck on getting everything organized.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
We're rooting for you.
Damn it.
Sorry, carry on, whoever was talking.
I lost my place. I forgot. We were talking about autos and stuff. Oh yeah, they're probably happy with it because they're not used to smoking. You know what I mean? Like, you probably gave him one chocolate. He's been buying a little weed here and there.
No, he'd never buy it. And the thing is, he's actually that kind of guy now. After I pointed out the errors of his ways, he's like, all right, next season I'm gonna. I mean, he still kept everything he grew. He kept and just turned into edibles. And it saw him through a year, and then he grew some more this year. And then I said, yeah, just let my cousin Chip bring around an example bud and show you what it's supposed to get to. And now next time when it gets to this stage, that's when you chop it down, you know. Not when it says, oh, it's been in there for 70 days from seed, therefore it's ready to go.
Autos are finicky too sometimes. Like, I don't know. I've been having I've noticed that a lot of the autos that I was planting, the taproot were going straight to the bottom and starting to circle. So I think I'm just gonna start like misting them and maybe giving them like drops of water so they're absorbing more through the leaves this time. Because I got a couple that are going good now. Once I finally like learn the new lights and everything, I'm starting to settle in and the new equipment. And I got some autoflower seeds I'm popping tonight, and I can't wait, from Chef Ann. So yeah, we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, and Keno, what's your take on the? Oddly enough, I often get asked the question, "What's happening in the UK market?" and I can't really answer it. But I mean, on terms of, and the only reason I can't answer is because not me, my whatever. You know, so used to personally growing it and not having to go out and look for it. It's like I don't really, The last time I bought street weed, fucking hell. Again, I was like, mate, I don't want to buy the grow. I just want to buy an ounce. It's like, what the fuck? Not paying off your mortgage.
This is what I said to you about when I started growing, man. I stopped for years. I started growing again because I couldn't sleep, and I was taking all these tablets and that, and They were all right, but I got kids. I was like a zombie all day. You know what I mean? It's still there. So I rang a mate up, and the price over here is just for a bit. I said, "Can I have a Henry, which is like a 3.5?" And he turned up. He's like, he's still doing what he was doing. So he's been doing this for like 10 years while I ain't been smoking. And he turns up with his bag, and it was like, what's they call it, a tenth or something? I don't know, but I paid him, and he was like 20 quid, and he gave it to me, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
I sort of looked at him. He's like, "That's a Henry." I said, "That's not a Henry." He said, "That's what we call a Henry now." I said, "Well, an eighth is 3.5 gram. It's not what you want to call it. That's the fucking weight of it, man. Do you know what I mean?" And that was it. I said, "All right, bang." I was on the internet at home. I'm growing. That was it, and I started growing. So, yeah.
But I think it's hilarious. Is like with the kids, like my eldest daughter's like boyfriends and that who've come around and gone, "Oh yeah, mate, we got 8 3.5s. So you bought an ounce." "No, we got 8 3.5. Yeah, you bought 8 eighths, mate."
That's the old trick, though.
I didn't get an 8. I got 3.5. It's like, fuck me. Let me take you over to scales and show you how this shit works.
That's another old trick over here. Buy 8 eighths. They give it to you in eighth bags because every bag weighs 3.2. So you're not getting an ounce. So you're getting your ounce, but you end up losing like 2 grams anyway. They've done everything they could over the years to do us over. They've done. Grow
You get
your
a
own.
baker's ounce, not a dealer's ounce. Baker's ounce being 25 grams.
Yeah. Oh, mate. It's a nightmare, isn't it? But that's why we I don't want to say with the forum, that's what it's there for, is to try and teach people or give people the information to try and learn and do their own thing, man, because it is. I mean, we know as growers what it would cost to produce. If I grow for oil and that's it, medical reasons, but I know what it costs to produce it. They're sitting there making numbers up. Well, they put them in the little fancy tins, like we were saying the other day. There's a tin. We'll have £300 for that one. What are you fucking talking about, man? It's a tuna tin.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
yeah. Oh, you want Cali weed?
Mate.
There you go.
It's absolute madness, man. People just, it just boggles the brain. But I was sitting there, I was doing these like little things for the Instagram account and about stoners. Done a little meme thing about stoners. As in, when a stoner tells a grower how to grow. But we all know when you're a stoner, them little myths and mythologies that you have in your head that do not track. You've never seen a plant, but and then you meet someone. The amount of times I can't tell, because of where I am now, I can't know what I do. You meet people and they're like, yeah, like stoners, like, yeah, you know, you're supposed to harvest a plant. It's like a 12-hour window, man. Or there's all these stupid little myths that make no sense to a grower on the planet. But
yeah.
I'm not going to rant on your show. I'm going to be able to haze tonight, man.
Hey, rant away. So, Shipwreck, any horror stories from you, sir?
Well, I remember I was allegedly helping a friend with like an outdoor grow years back, and almost got attacked by a wildcat of some sort. It was really dark out, but that thing was fucking pissed at us.
That's not a hazard you'd bump into in this country.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was scary. We were just taking down our plants and hearing some weird noises. Like we kept like looking over there, but of course it was the way out that we were hearing these noises and fucking.
See, that's what.
Yeah, we had to trudge through like some pretty thick forest to get the fuck out of there.
Try going
not go that way.
Stop, listen. You're like, which way is it now? It's that way. We gotta go this way.
It started growling and roaring, and that was probably one of the scariest fucking things that's ever happened to me.
Hey, Purple Thumb, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Good. How you guys doing? Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, bro.
What's up, man?
Good to see you, bro.
Shipwreck. I mean, that's what makes. Okay, growing up in South Africa. So in North America, you people have mountain lions. You've got fucking bears and shit, okay, and moose and all this. These things are deadly fucking animals. Now in South Africa, where you've got lions, leopards, and all this other crap, we put them in game reserves. If you were walking around in South Africa and you heard a lion roar, you just know, oh, okay, that's it. It's over. It's like, oh, where's it coming from? I mean, it's like, that's what astounds me is that you guys go walking out in the bush knowing these animals are there. It's like no.
At nighttime, only armed with knives.
Yeah, sticks.
Hey, a fair fight.
I was about to say, when we go out in the woods, we typically go armed though. Like in our country, gun laws are such that we can carry firearms that, they make a
Oh,
500
South Africa, that's
Smith
not a
and
problem
Wesson
either, mate.
just
yeah.
for dealing with bears.
Oh yeah. But in South Africa, it's just strange because you learn to like seriously respect wild animals in terms of like that shit don't fuck around. You are on the menu.
Don't even fuck with a deer. They will fuck you up.
Turkeys, geese, they're mean.
Well, hippos are the worst.
Hippos, yeah, they look gentle, and then they're not at all.
Well, they kill more people than Africa. They're probably Africa's most deadly animal in terms of the people they kill, and they move quickly. They look like these big, slow things.
What about these fucking snakes, man? These black mambas.
I've had a run in with one.
Okay, not coming to your place. Sorry, Deadly.
Yep. Nope. Sorry.
No, we don't have those. I think
That's
has those.
That's my hometown.
Nope,
not going to there then.
I'll come with you and a gun, but that's the only way we're walking around.
The scariest thing about black mamba is it's an aggressive snake. Now, most snakes will fuck off when they don't want to tangle with you. It's not really in their interest to mess with you. That snake is one that will turn around and go, okay, hang on. And it can hit 30 miles an hour. So you're not outrunning the damn thing. It's catching up with you. And a 3 meter long one, and that's, what's 3 meters, 9 feet, can stand up on 30 centimeters of tail. So a foot of tail left on the ground. So that thing's standing 8 feet tall looking at you if it really wants to get aggro. And one bite, you're probably looking at maybe 30 steps and then you're goner.
Yeah, that's like the cotton mouth.
Yeah, I watch enough Discovery Channel. You ain't catching me in that.
We have
I've seen Crocodile Hunter.
The rattlers, like any viper species are they're more aggressive than other snakes. Like Pete's saying, like
the problem you have with like puff adders. Well, what adders can do, unlike most snakes, adders can go bend over completely backwards. So if you stand on an adder's tail, it doesn't strike you by swinging around sideways. It'll just flip over backwards and strike you that way. So they're really nasty. Puff adders, and a puff adder is an adder that's that thick, probably 4 feet long. It's a fucking horrible snake.
You don't get nothing over here, man.
Yeah, grass snakes.
I remember shipwreck. I was out in the woods once. We were gonna harvest. This was when I was like 16, so shit was illegal. Allegedly, I guess I will say. I was out in the woods and we were gonna check everything. And we get there. One, we get lost because I forgot because we were wicked high. Of course, that's just me. Right. So we're doing it by smell at this point. We're walking around, and then finally I stand on a log, and I'm like, all right, we're here. I know we are. And then we see them. So we grab them, and all of a sudden we're looking, and we start hearing howling, like coyotes or something in the distance. And we're like, fuck. Shit. All right, we're going. We're just bringing them. Let's go. Just turn around, and we just start running back out. But you could hear them. Like, it's crazy how, like, it's so pitch black out in the woods, and you have your phone, but it only goes so far, or you don't have a nice flashlight, you know what I mean? So, like, everything else is dark as shit, and you're hearing noises, and you're like, fuck, I got a fucking plant that's in a 5-gallon bucket that's 6 feet tall, that's hitting every bush on the, I'm like, and then we decide to go home. Like, we had to get it back to, like, the place. So we throw it in a Toyota Camry, 4 of them. We leave one out there, and they're hanging out the window going down the highway at 3:30 in the morning. That's a horror story. And then we got raided, actually. They didn't get us, though.
There's a few twists in this horror story, isn't there?
They didn't get us.
Fair play.
So we brought him. So here's what happened. We brought him back to the house, and we were like, all right, let's just throw him in your room for a couple of days. They need a couple more days. And we threw some lights up, and we were like, fuck it. We'll leave him on 24 hours, and then we'll just cut him. And it was like an illegal apartment. So his landlord just walked in one day while he was sleeping, older gentleman, and opened his room door and like looked and was like, and he woke up when the door opened. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing in my apartment?" He's like, "What are those?" Obviously, my friend said a fern or something. And he's like, "Yeah, we'll see what the police say about that." And we're like, "Fuck!" As soon as he said that, they were smart though. They dealt with it, and it disappeared.
Gave some to the old man. Coming in to get some.
They're like, "Where did you
What
put
you
them?"
want,
We're
old
like,
man?
"We're like in the woods." They're like,
I was
"Where?"
chasing you guys all night to the woods.
No, yeah, I remember the one year we were growing in the same spot because it was like an good old spot, and so the boys like, "We're harvesting tonight," and I was at a friend's house because it was his birthday and we were all drinking. So they picked me up. I was sloshed, and we chopped down all the plants. We triple bagged them in garbage bags, whip them in the trunk. We get pulled over by the cops. My
way.
two friends in the front seat are sweating and just like almost in tears, and I'm in the back like, "Guys, you need to calm the fuck down. You're gonna be obvious. Just be normal." And I'm like
just
laughing and
chill,
giggling,
bro.
I mean, we
That's
went
the
up
worst.
to. We were going up
Pete,
to.
that's just the worst, man.
Oh yeah, we were going up to this music festival one year. This is in South Africa, and as we arrive at the festival, now it's private land, so the cops can't be on the land. Now, of course, all the smart dealers had gone up like 2 weeks earlier, dug holes, buried everything on the site beforehand, and then of course when they turn up, they've got nothing on them. It's already there. You know, they just go through. These cops had set up a little roadblock just before you pulled into the farmland, and they had x-ray machines and everything set up. It's like, oh fuck, this isn't looking good, man. We get pulled out the car. Of course, everybody lights a cigarette as soon as they get out the car, and your adrenaline's pumping. Now, this is up in the mountains, and we've all come from Durban, which is quite a bit lower down. So it's actually quite a bit warmer in Durban, but we're now all, adrenaline's pumping. So you've all got the shakes ever so slightly, and the cops go, "Why are you guys all shaking?" It's cold, mate. Like, no. Ah, fuck, that was like nerve-wracking. I'm standing there with acid in my underwear, like, dude, where's this gonna go? Just act dumb. Like, oh no, I don't know what you're looking for. Yeah, no, search the car. I don't care. Don't search the pillows, though. Oh, just let people through, man.
when you're young, eh?
The festivals, I don't like. They're kind of lenient. Like, cops are there. Dude, people are walking around shouting what they have most of the time.
Oh yeah, there were no cops on the plot. And like the horror story from that event was in South Africa, you get something that they call mulpitter, which is mad seeds. Morning glory seeds is essentially what they are. You got to be morning glory as a psychedelic. You got to be very, very careful for that. That's one that you potentially don't come back from. It can really fucking permanently mess you up. And this friend of ours, he went missing one day. I mean, it's like a 4-day festival sort of thing. Well, a bit longer than that, actually. And we're all just, I mean, there's so much good acid going around. We're just chewing the stuff like it's candy. He decides, no, he's going to do mulpitter. And this place is called Rustler's Valley. It's in the Lesotho Mountains. And it's where the cattle rustlers used to bring cattle in. That's where it got its name. So on like day 3, we're like, where is, I forget the chap's name. Yeah, we better go and tell the organizers that we're a bit concerned that this guy's gone missing. And they just went, well, look out there. It's like this valley out to the horizon. Like, he could be anywhere. Turns out we bump into him 2 weeks later back home. And we're like, what the fuck happened to you? And he just went, I do not want to talk about it. He somehow managed to hitchhike from back end of nowhere 600 miles back to Durban. Now, considering he would have been as high as fuck on these things, I'm amazed anybody stopped to pick him up. It's like, what did you do? Did you just hang on to the first car that came past? It's definitely more would have been happened than actually somebody stopped and let you in their car. Fuck. But yeah, he will not talk about that experience. He's like, that was the most horrific thing that ever happened. So watch out for morning glory seeds. They're not ones to mess with. And they're already common flower. You can find them all over the place.
Used to have them outside my house.
Those nice big white trumpet ones. Do them correctly, they're all right, but do them wrong. And
I read that. I never played with it. I was like, I don't want to play with that. I'll just buy acid.
yeah. I would highly recommend acid over morning glory.
DMT's fun. I don't like a lot of the research drugs that they have out now, like imitating Molly, because the sassafras tree is way harder to cultivate, and it's becoming harder to really like make actual MDMA. So you're getting a lot of these research chemicals coming into the festivals and shit.
You can't get rhubarbs and custards anymore. There's some old school.
Yeah,
disco biscuits.
Doves.
Why do you cover your
No,
ass?
wait a minute.
There you go.
Wait a minute. You said disco biscuits.
Mitsubishis.
Preludes are available in South Africa still, though, under the name Mandrax.
Yeah,
that is actually the only place in the world that it's still available, simply because in the rest of the world we controlled the resources for it, the precursors.
And the way they do Mandrax in South Africa, it's called buttons, and you smoke them, and it's like hitting it's like hitting methamphetamine, except actually hitting speed in a pipe. It gives you way more of an up than hitting Mandrax in a pipe does. But it's the only country in the world that you smoke them, and it's highly, highly addictive. They'll fucking kill each other over it. So what you do is you crush one up. You take a Mandrax tablet, you crush it up. So the way they would do it is what they call a neck. You take a beer bottle and you break the beer bottle neck off, and you pack that full of weed. You take and you roll cardboard up and you stick it in the mouthpiece so that you've got a roach there, and then you pack the whole thing with weed, and then you sprinkle the crushed Mandrax on the top, and the first hit's called the cream. When you hit the cream, and then they clap the cream, and they pull it through, so they'll hit weed and that at the same time, and you'll just watch them like, whoop, and then pass out. And it's like this massive up and then dunk out.
Sounds like a K-hole.
No, nothing like that. No
dissociative.
That doesn't seem appealing to me.
No, I don't know then.
It wasn't. I mean, I tried it and I went, dude, I've smoked speed, and that gives you way more of a rush.
I thought Valium was a downer.
About that stuff.
I thought Valium was a downer, and wasn't it commonly taken in tablet form here as a Quaalude?
Yeah, but if you smoke it, it's not a downer.
Oh, okay.
These drugs, this is the thing about like PGRs and weed. I mean, okay, so plant growth regulators, which are PGRs, you get natural PGRs that occur. So seaweed has natural PGRs in it. You can extract natural PGR compounds in those tend to be quite, and those are safe. And those are safe to smoke. Those don't do anything weird when you burn them. So these naturally occurring PGRs are usually quite safe, but it's the artificial PGRs, which are used for ornamental plants, very specifically for ornamental plants, which are not supposed to be consumed. And PGRs that you can eat are not ones when you burn them, that chemical compound changes. So what's safe to eat is not safe to inhale in, vapor format.
Like vitamin E acetate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm just going to go for a comfort break. Back in a second. I'm going to get a drink. So keep chatting.
Keep talking.
Purple Thumb, horror stories.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, first, introduce yourself.
You guys know me. I'm Purple Thumb. I'm in chat all the time, everywhere. I don't need to tell you who I am. No,
the man.
Just a home grower, that's all. And a friend of the friends.
Nice.
But
check him out on Instagram though.
Check him out everywhere. Everywhere. He's like Saul. He's in everything. everywhere.
You're being modest,
love it,
bro. You
man.
do some good work.
Yeah, man.
I try. I don't see anybody else's stuff. I mean, it's it's just all I see is mine. So that's what I judge against. I do me. But thank you.
So horror story. What do you got?
Horror stories. I don't know. Blue mats. Setting them up. You got to get them things right. I can follow instructions very well, Raptor. But to tweak that little dial just a little bit to get go
That's
to the
not
drip
following
and then.
instructions, and that little tweak is not the instruction.
Well, when I gotta tweak it more, you do the quarter turn past the triangle after the last drip, right? That doesn't seem to work always. It depends on how big your container is.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to mention
and so
before. That I have a big enough soil to, even if there was a little bit of water leakage or whatever, it got absorbed, and then my plants soaked it up right away. But yeah, please continue. What happened?
I mean, I have a big drip tray, so it's not, it's never that big of a deal. I always have it under a flood tray or something. But yeah, sometimes you get too much water dumping out, or I don't know. It's weird how them things work. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know.
So
so far so good.
What was your reservoir?
I use 32 or 34 gallon Brute trash cans.
Okay. Yeah.
So pretty big reservoirs,
Yeah, where I probably saved, the saving grace for me was I just used the 5 gallon
your
bucket.
5 gallon bucket. Yeah. I heard.
So if something did happen, it would just be 5 gallons.
It's only 5 gallons.
Yeah, but if I was leaving for town or something like that, I would set up like a 40 gallon, and I would be testing that out for a month, like just in case, to like cover any bases. Just like Duckweed was saying, like if you change something, better fucking pay attention.
Yeah.
You better be in there for 24 hours at least. And that 24 hours isn't going to be full representation of, like, that's why I mentioned a month at a time. But do you have any caps or meters?
I don't have any water meters. I mean, I have environmental controls. I mean, I check my stuff. I can't stay out of my grows. I just love the plants. I have passion for it. So I just like to go in there. I sit in there and hang out. You guys are in there with me too. You guys hang out all the time too with them.
That's same here when I'm on the chat.
We just hang out. So I check stuff and keep an eye on it, and
Yeah, I found the moisture meter to really save me, but more than likely the thing
I just haven't hit buy yet. I just haven't hit buy on it yet.
Cheaper ones. There's
I'll
ones
get
for like
it eventually.
$12,
Don't you worry.
But those expensive ones that I was trying to say before, like if you can't afford it, don't get that. Get something else. Get the ones that are more affordable. But I found that to be M-Bar is super.
It'd be nice to have they make ones that are, you can hook up to your Wi-Fi or Bluetooth capabilities, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can get something called like the weather station or something like that. Miss D's Nugs has it. But she has wireless moisture meters, so it tells her the levels wherever she's at. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's something I've looked into. For my own
that'd be a
personal
good
experimental area, I've played around with it, and it's interesting in terms of, okay, so you get two types of moisture sensors. You get capacitive moisture sensors, which are really the ones you want to use because they don't expose any metal into the medium. The other one you have puts out, you got these two metal spikes that go into the ground, and it measures basically electrical conductivity between the two of them. And the less resistance there is, the more moist the soil is, and the more resistance, the less moisture, so the drier the soil is. But the problem is those break down. If you look at those probes over time, you'll see that they'll break down into the soil. Yeah. So you're introducing heavy metals and etc., which you don't really want to do.
Yes, just like the Vivo Sun two-prong moisture. Yeah, I've done that before, and that's exactly what happens. And things
Yeah.
deteriorate quick too. Not
Yeah.
like they last a while. They suck.
I noticed you
In
gotta
my
like,
opinion.
if you use them, it's more of like put them in for an hour and take them out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So and then
Clean
the
it,
catch.
dry it.
So the
Go.
bonus with the capacitive moisture sensor is it doesn't have that. It's a completely sealed unit. The catch with them is if the roots grow around them, they will register the moisture in the roots as well as the moisture in the soil. So if you put a capacitive moisture sensor in your hand and you grip it really tightly, you'll register the moisture in your hand. I mean, literally in the blood supply, magnetic field capacitance is what it's working on. And so the trick is trying to find a way of having a moisture sensor that can keep the roots away from it. So trying to build one that's kind of got like a guard around it, like a copper, and roots won't grow through copper, which is a really neat little trick. So if you make like a copper mesh that the thing can sit in, that you sink into the soil, then the roots won't grow around it, and you're still measuring ambient soil moisture levels. So that's kind of the
that's a
trick
good
with
idea.
those.
That's it, man.
You should hook it up, Pete. You looking into that for PL Grow Systems add-on there?
Well, I've done the moisture. Just this is the straight capacitive one. I've got a working prototype of those. It's trying to figure out what to do with prevent the roots from hitting them. That's the trick.
Right.
I can't think of anything that would really. Yeah. If anybody's got any good ideas on that front, get in contact.
You'd have to put like a thin mesh screen or something that the roots couldn't get to it through it.
Yeah,
you
and it
know
needs
what
to
I
be
mean?
away from it. So you need to have this probe sitting in the middle, and it has to have like a copper shield or a mesh shield around it, so that the copper shield's got to be open enough to allow the moisture to come through into the bit of grow medium that the sensor's sitting in.
Something like that.
And just to stop the roots wrapping around it.
Then that's more metal, so it probably figures something better than metal. I'm just saying that's like an idea.
Copper's fine. I mean, copper's absolutely fine. In fact, it works. It makes sure that your plant doesn't suddenly have a copper deficiency or an iron deficiency. Well, copper in this case.
Well, Pete, how Bluemont went about it is they use their ceramic carrot, they call it, and no, it's not ceramic. It's it's a type of clay. It's like a terracotta clay.
Terracotta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's just this little spike, and then they have a tube going up it that holds the water that would sense that water in there.
They're kind of doing it on
called
like a VPD, essentially. I mean, that's essentially what they're doing. Is it's keeping a track of how dry the soil is getting. So how much is it trying to? What's the equilibrium pressure that it's trying to push the water into the dry medium? And that's the millibars that you're talking about. The MB you're talking about, that's millibars of pressure.
MBAR,
So
exactly.
it's 80 millibars of pressure or 100 millibar of pressure, and that's atmospheric pressure to say if the difference is more than this, let it go. Let
Very
it suck
accurate.
it through, and off you go.
Helps to avoid mistakes.
Yeah,
it's worth the money to avoid a mistake, especially if you live on a second floor, if you live in an apartment or something like that. Hey, you don't want some your downstairs neighbors to knock on your door, and they're the ones that let you know, instead of a meter that would have told you in the first place.
like if you're using a Bluetooth device and Mildred next door comes
yeah,
over
whatever
and goes, "Hey,
that
by the
meter
way."
may be. This one has its drawback in the sense that you can't get updates. You have to be there, press the button, or they have a digital meter and an analog meter, like where it's just a dial. And I use the digital, and it's nice to just press the button, you're done. I think I've had it for over probably 18 months, and I haven't needed to replace the battery.
I haven't actually seen that. I haven't seen those over here yet. Have you, Kino? Blue Map?
No, I haven't. No. And I like the kit as
$80
well.
on Amazon here.
So
$80.
I don't know where GMO is, but he and I were chatting in the chat room, and he was saying that they're pretty easy to get in his part. So I don't want to Like I said, I
Yeah.
don't know where he is, but
He's
Similar
not far
neck
from
of
me.
the woods. Similar neck
They're
of the
made
woods.
in
Yeah.
Germany, right?
Yeah, I mean, there might be in
Like-
certain hydro shops down there or certain online shops that use it, but I haven't seen it at our shop. I do always look at kit. I like the grow kit side of growing, so it's not something I've seen.
I think the most popular one over here is like the Autopot system. I mean, that's going to be your gravity-fed irrigation where it maintains moisture. I mean, I've got one.
I've seen great results with.
I see those
we,
everywhere.
Yeah. We have a brand called Earthbox, and it's the same thing. It's a sub-irrigated planter, and yeah, I mean that's basically Blue Mott's, but you're doing everything underneath and in its sealed container, and I've seen really great results. I've had friends that have done that, both
That's what
large
we're using
and
for
small.
That's actually what Operation Grow is using in like season 3 is where we introduced the Autopot system so that we could make sure that everything's being fed the same nutrient regime. So they're getting the same fertigation. The fact that each pot's individually, although it all comes from a central reservoir, each pot's individually maintained by its, so depending on how fast that individual plant is consuming or drinking, it's fed independently. So it's got a little float valve that feeds each one separately. Within each pot, there's a float valve that regulates the flow into each one.
Right.
I think they do, and the comment. I think the first season, season 3, it took them a little bit to get used to it, and guys were switching from soil to cocoa, which was also interesting. In fact, the Autopot guys have just released a new valve system and piping that's designed for working with organics. So where you're potentially going to have a bit of
thicker nutrients.
Thicker and sedimentation occurring in it. So the lines are now quite a bit thicker, I think. I think gone from 3 to 5 mil lines or 3 to 6 mil lines or something like that. But they've been having really good results in people using super soils where you're just feeding it water. And literally you just fill the reservoir with water and just leave it. And every week you just refill the reservoir. And every plant's being, constantly watered correctly. Saves you having to go around and water each one, hand watering. Because when you're hand watering, again, you're assuming every plant requires the same amount of water. Most people are going around doing like 20 seconds, 20 seconds, 20 seconds. Each one's being fed independently.
It's only taking what it
I do
needs.
the lift test.
Yeah.
Pick them up.
I'm trying to move
Pot
to
in one hand, sprayer in the other.
I'm trying to move to bottom feeding, water, so I don't really have much to do. You know what I mean? Like a sip container style type.
That's what Autopot. That's what an Autopot is. It's a bottom feeder.
That's what kind of where I'm going, because I have the tendency to like I said this before, overlove my plants. So I'll put them in the pot and I'll introduce more water than they're gonna need, and it will sop up the pot because I'm ready. I think they're ready for the bottom feed and they weren't this time. So it's another learning curve. I tell everyone this: anytime you switch something up, it's a whole different learning curve. Like I moved up to a bigger tent, more lights, different pots, different feeding. So like everything's a different learning curve. It's not like I'm going to go in there and be perfect this round. So, I could have been, but I'm not that prepared.
But that's the beautiful thing about this plant, though. I mean, that's what really, I mean, I grow chilies and I've now got I'm crossing chilies, create my own crosses, etc. And what the beauty behind this whole growing plants in the organic field is that no two grows are the same. It's a constant. You can't perfect it. I mean, I do stuff like, I make knives. I make fly fishing rods. I tie flies. Those are things that you can kind of perfect because it's a constant that you're dealing with. The one nice thing about this is that each run, it's slightly different. It's a biological living organism that you're playing around with, and it never behaves the same twice. It really doesn't. I mean, no matter what you do, it's never quite the same every single time round.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you can never. It's a constant learning curve.
I believe GMF is he can barely hold himself back as soon as he heard autopods and sips. Like, oh, let me get my presentation ready. Please enlighten us.
I'm just saying, if you're worried about overwatering, you can use one of these. I gave up on them. Just use one of these. It's got a reservoir in the bottom. As long as you don't overwater the shit out of it, you'll just have a nice little tea brewing down here. It can suck back up later. So, I mean, and check it out. They pop off. You can see you will get a little root growth down in there. But this dry spot down here, I will literally take cultures when it's wet. I'll just take an IMO culture out of there if I want to make a tea or some shit. All my living organisms are down in that water down there. So, and this will give you, if you say you're going to leave, right? You got to go somewhere, do some shit. Just water it really good. Make sure this thing is full, and then you got an extra day. Easy. Sometimes two, nice. You can go three. I had a buddy go in the hospital. He passed away right before COVID started, my best friend's twin. So I headed down to Texas anyway, so these were able to just survive on their own while I was gone.
So when like you're first starting going like bottom watering, like I noticed that even if it sucks it all up, it like at once, don't add more until you get to a certain point. Because that was my problem. Yeah,
especially
it
with
was
soil and bottom. And there is a difference between cocoa and soil. Big difference in the way that you've got to water those two.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's Kino will. In cocoa, if you think it needs to be watered, you fucking water it. In soil, if you think it needs to be watered, you leave it for another 2 days.
Yeah.
You know.
That is finger in it, and if it's wet, you're good. If it's dry, water.
And you've seen the big ones I use, right, Smash? Like you can go all the way up to 5, 6. Like you can get these things huge, and you can make them.
Like a 3 and a 2, maybe of those exact ones. The plant spas.
You see this?
Yeah. Nice.
That's
like
my key lime tree, but this is a sip.
Nice.
How
do you access the bottom?
Tube. The tube and a float.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I usually I do the same thing, but I drill a hole in the bottom to access the bottom, and I just do it with 2 5-gallon buckets. So instead of having a tube, I drill a little hole in the side right there.
Right, overflow.
Exactly. Between that little 3-inch gap.
Yeah.
Between the 2 buckets.
And there's a platform in here that actually I'll show you some more. Hold on. I'll show you one that's not being used yet.
So that's
use the lime
hempy
bucket.
It was called the grow bucket, but yeah, it's like a hempy bucket style. Yep.
Have you eaten the leaves? Do you use them when you cook?
I haven't done anything with it. I just brought it inside because it's cold out, but I haven't done anything with it yet. I just got it. Well, it's probably had it since April, I think. It was much smaller when I got it, but yeah. Awesome. I plan to do lots with it, hopefully. All right, here's let's see if you can see this. Yeah, here's a couple kits right here. This sits in the bottom of the bucket.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you already bought this as a kit.
So that's your water. Yeah, you just buy it. Comes with this.
Yeah. I thought you customized
in a tube. These things were cheap. I got 3 for, I don't know, it was cheap. They were cheap. But yeah, pretty much a hempy bucket. Called grow buckets. And it came a set of 3 of them.
You got 3 for like what, 20?
Yeah, it was like $20 or something like that. And then you just buy, used buckets that you already have. But I mean, you could do this without paying anything. I mean, you could take 2-liter bottles and cut a bunch of 2-liter bottles in half and stick them down there, to keep, I don't know. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube.
Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Any food safe plastic. Same stuff they made that out of. High impact plastics. Milk jugs. All that stuff.
Yogurt containers. Oh yeah, exactly. Food safe.
Love
I got
those
all
setups,
kinds of
man.
containers.
hang
I've been
sorry.
trying all kinds of shit.
Say that again, Raptor. Did you just say yogurt?
I was just saying like yogurt containers.
No,
Like you can use it.
Yogurt, fantastic. Thanks. I just need to hear somebody else call it yogurt. In this fucking country, these people call it yogurt.
Yogurt?
It is yogurt.
No, it's yogurt.
I have never.
It's
Hey, at
yogurt.
least you're not saying kombucha.
Hey,
Yeah.
if you make it, you
I
can
love
call it whatever you
conversation.
want.
That quinoa.
You made
You
it,
got
you call it what you
everything
want.
over there, bro. He's got every type of bag over there.
No shit, man.
Quinoa.
Dude,
You
I
decked out, bro.
yeah, I try to try everything really. You know,
Damn.
What's your preferred method so far? Out of all those
That's awesome.
selections, going through everything and trying this and that, what works
Well,
for you in
all
your
different.
environment?
Yeah, see, all different through different stages. I start out with these little guys, these little
Yeah.
4-inch little cups. You know, I use
Nice.
hydrogen in the bottom of everything I do. There's
Yeah, they don't
inch
break
layer
down.
of hydrogen. So,
Perfect to
and I
reuse.
reuse them, wash them, and then I go to these guys, little 1 gallons, only because I try have the fabric ones that rip open the side. Like VivoSun makes a 1 gallon fabric with Velcro on the side that has actually, I think,
The easy
lights on.
swap
Hold on.
pots too.
Yeah, I haven't gotten those yet, but I want to
I've been
try
looking
all
at
this
those.
stuff out. You know, I try everything out. I want to see what will work best and how well does it work for me. You know,
Yeah, that's why I
yeah, I got a
mentioned
whole
like what
array
works
of
for
stuff in
you,
here.
because some
These
people
little 1
have
gallons here,
different techniques.
they're all right.
Now, what would be
But-
interesting? I mean, now, I will say that you've recently acquired a minder unit. What's interesting in terms of what I see is that understanding the combination of fabric and plastic pots, using them together to control the environment. So using your actual, like fabric pots put out a lot more humidity than solid plastic pots do. So if you find you're suffering from like really low humidity, switch out a number of your pots to being plastic, but not being fabric, but not all of them. You know, at some point you realize, okay, if I run 70% in fabric, the remaining 30% in plastic, my dehumidifier or my humidifier doesn't have to work so hard, and you can like adjust accordingly. So as you go through the year, you can start to say, all right, in winter, I'm going to put everything in plastic pots because in wherever you are, it rains a lot in winter, and so I need to like keep the humidity down a bit.
What's her name?
Who's her name?
You can't just play with her and then like walk away.
Oh,
It's
this
tease.
is
Such a tease.
Yeah.
This is Bloody Skunk. This is an auto, Bloody Skunk auto from
You even
Sweet
gave her a
Seeds.
squeeze. Like, gosh. Oh.
Yeah, her. She's pretty. She's a
Nice.
little nice and thick. You know, not airy, dense,
Nice.
dense, very
Very
hard.
pretty.
Is that an auto or is it a?
Yeah, yeah, it's an auto.
Okay.
They use this little under the stair space. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, cool.
That's
cool.
the auto area.
Yeah, the place that
Yeah.
you're like, what the fuck do I do here? Autos.
Yeah, dude. I make I'm make all kinds of little areas.
What do you
Space,
use
use
as
it up.
your what are you lining all of your grow area with?
This is all industrial grade, like reflective plastic they use in commercial buildings and stuff like that. This stuff actually came from a I don't know, building I do. We line the walls and roofs with it, and it holds back the insulation. It's actually a vapor barrier and highly reflective. That's why they use it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got tons of this stuff. I mean, this whole room is lined with it, floor and everything. It's waterproof.
Dude, it's like someone came and did pimp my grow room for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I did. I pimped my room.
Well done,
I
sir.
could-
Well done.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I got
It's
this
really
wicked
nice to
old
see it's such a
Zehium. See
clean
this?
space, man.
Yeah, thank you. Check this out, right? So super old, but works great. Puts off good heat for down here, right? Oh, my chicken coop, right? Chicken coop eater.
Yeah, I kept asking you about that. That's awesome, dude. I love that. That's
Yeah,
freaking
man.
brilliant.
Yeah, it works great. Puts off perfect. Works good.
And then you just circulating air near. That's dude.
Yep.
Yeah,
making
the
it nice and
radiated
easy.
air goes around. Nice.
And that's
Yes,
movable.
so-
You can switch it around if you want to change things up. That's brilliant, dude.
Exactly.
Well done.
There's two settings
Welcome
on it,
back,
high and a
too,
low.
for safety. Well done, sir, on that. No
And-
slipping and
yeah.
busting your ass.
Something that people can look at also is if you go and find like greenhouse heaters, and they do them in heater bars. Depending on the length
had
of the
said
bar,
that.
will
I was
determine the
looking
heat
for
of it.
those.
And
I
they're
couldn't find
oil.
Look at how much he probably paid for that, dude. That's the thing. Look at how much he probably paid for that.
Yeah, it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
that
yeah.
much.
I mean, I run one of those little greenhouse heaters. I mean, I think it costs. I've got an 80-watt one, and that cost me 20 quid. Isn't much.
How much was that chicken coop one, like roundabouts?
I think it was $45.
Dude,
So it's not
nice.
too bad.
I like
Not
how
too
you
bad.
stapled those mats down.
My floor mats?
Oh, I thought they were stapled for. Sorry, yeah,
No,
Yeah.
not staple. They don't move.
yeah.
though,
I
but
just saw that, but yeah, that's. I mean, even the mats is a great idea because
they
what if
pull up
something
for mopping.
spills?
Mopping.
Mm.
See, mop
Dude.
bucket.
Bravo, sir.
Thanks.
So, all right,
Thanks.
now I'm gonna ask, where's your fire extinguisher?
Hmm. Is it right outside the grill room?
Oh,
Here we go downstairs
Just give me,
and
like,
open the
which one?
garage.
No. Oh
Points
shit!
at-
What happened?
points
here?
at the phone. Yeah, dial 911.
Nice.
Excellent.
It's at the stairs, so when I come down
Huh.
the stairs, I get that before
Brilliant.
I get to a fire. You know.
Yeah,
so
mine's
it's not
right outside
en
my
route.
room.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Exactly
dude.
like you're doing en route, but it's right outside my door of like
Yeah.
where my grow is.
Look, I got
Yeah.
today.
I mean, you don't have to go in
Oh,
the
fuck
fire
yeah.
to get the fire.
Very nice. Very
I
nice.
need to get
Alright.
one really bad.
It is a mess down here. I've been transplanting or going to transplant.
That is not a mess.
You know. Well, I got a lot of shit going on. I mean, tubs of soil and pots and stalks and stuff.
Waiting to be recycled. Yeah, I know that feeling. That's all the pots right next to me are waiting to be recycled.
Yeah, I got all this
Yep.
soil too under here from the. I gotta reamend. I
Nice.
can't even get it. Ugh.
Yo,
There's
Poopa,
all my-
was it you
What else?
who had the purple punch S1s?
Yes.
Oh, that I love those colors, man.
Yeah, it
you
was
do
pretty,
some really
right?
pretty stuff on your IG, dude. You grow some pretty stuff.
Yeah, man.
Well done, sir.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Show
I
you.
hope that
this is my,
literature's been helping out, by the way.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck. Yeah.
it's another little room I got here.
I actually heard about it first time when I think Pete was on somewhere, Eagles I think it was, and he mentioned that, and I was like, dang, I need to get me that. Especially how I'm into breeding and stuff. Oh boy.
Did you get a copy?
Yeah, dude, that
Um,
book is great, man.
I got a
holy
PDF, not a hard
cow.
copy.
Mm.
Which book are we talking about, just so the audience knows?
We are talking about
Marijuana Botany.
Marijuana Botany by
By-
Robert Connolly Clark. Hang on, let me switch
That's the man.
off this one. All right, well, hang on a second. Let me
Yeah, my
turn
copy
off-
doesn't have pictures, but it has the words, though, most important.
Yeah,
That-
there's not too
this
many
isn't a
pictures
comic
besides
book.
like the
This is a
breeding
series
charts.
like reading. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Notice
Green
we all
charts are
have our
cool.
copies. Yeah, everybody hold up your copies so you know you're in the club.
I have mine in
Oh
PDF.
man, mine's
Oh, I
upstairs.
got
I'm
one.
gonna have to
Your
wait.
decoder ring for the club.
Yo, Kino, you need a copy I can send you.
All right. Well,
Is that nice one? Yeah, I'll
We
look
brought
at it. Yeah.
It's
We
an,
brought
I
up-
mean, it is Robert Connell Clark's. I think this was his master's that I mean, this is his master's degree, essentially,
Okay.
on marijuana botany, and it is a really good read. And I really like his whole like classification system, and I think that's probably what we're going to adopt for the breeding program, in terms of when he's talking about what are the traits that you're looking for and how to classify the traits. I mean, they fall into some pretty broad categories, which certainly makes it easier.
I definitely have to read some stuff over like 3 or 4 times before I could like even start to understand. But
That's how it's supposed to be, man. You're supposed to
Yeah.
review. It's called studying. It's
Mm.
called studying. And
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, I don't want to read. I don't want to read this." Dude, it's called studying. This is
Yep.
this is something we need to research. So don't feel bad when you have to do that. Like I keep hearing people saying, "Oh, but I have trouble reading." It's like, dude, take your time. Take your fucking
And
time. The
not
more
rush.
you whine, the less you are spending your time
Hey,
doing that, you know?
properly
You are so
placed
true.
sensors. Properly placed sensors.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Okay.
Nicely sent. Yeah.
You can
So,
barely
so
see
tell
it.
us about that. Talk about that,
Harrison.
Purple.
Well, here we have the PL Grow Minder unit right here. You know, great little device here for monitoring your environments. You know, tells you your VPD, your
That guy's a
relative
jackass.
humidity, ambient
Yeah,
temperature.
so I've heard, Smash, so I've heard.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it. Works good. I like
But
the
it's-
drafting, you know. I'm a
But,
nerd
what-
like that, so
Beautiful.
I
mean,
have
either-
other ones too. This is
Yo, you don't need to be a nerd, because like I was
another
saying
little
earlier, one of
thing
those
over
things
here.
could let you know
Exactly.
if
I mean,
you're having a fire inside there or whatever the case is.
What's
Another
more-
one over here.
what's more the point is that, I mean, what I really wanted to point out there is that the sensors are being placed in the correct location. I mean, it's not,
Canopy.
you do not place your sensors above the canopy. You put your sensors in the canopy. You know, above the canopy, great. I mean, yeah, I expect that to be warm and fairly dry. Below, in the canopy is where everything is happening. And that top layer that's exposed, that's 1% of your canopy. 99% of it's sitting below that top layer. And when you drop a sensor into it, you suddenly realize, whoa, this is where those high humidity little zones are existing, these microclimates that create the problems. That's where they exist. And like, yeah, you can see every now and then that fan's blowing across, you watch all those leaves move. I mean, that's what you want. And having the sensors placed inside the canopy allows you to know that you're getting the proper airflow through the actual canopy itself. So
And
I
look at
mean,
that.
I don't care what product you're using. That's the way to place it. If you put a sensor up on the wall, fantastic. You know what the wall temperature is. Great. It doesn't know what's going on in there.
And
Yeah,
I'd
I
just
saw
like to
someone
add,
have a sensor up on the wall recently. Won't call
Yeah.
any names, but
They're light, so they don't really add much. Like most of these, even if you got a Gove or whatever, just get a little string and tape it to your ceiling right in between where your canopy is going to be or where it is. Or if you're not even there yet, I put mine right next to my plant at like plant height. It literally sitting like my plant canopy's here, my things right here. I try to keep it as close to the canopy as possible. Like Pete's saying, it does help to know if you're measuring the wall, that's not helping.
and if you look at Purple Thumb's, what he was showing before, you can see down to the soil. He cleared up any foliage so that there's lots of air movement around, and that's something some people, like I've been hearing, oh, I don't take off my nice.
Good
I don't
book.
take off my solar panels. It's like, well, then you're gonna have microclimates, and you're
Yeah,
gonna
you
have
want
issues in
airflow.
those microclimates. Yeah, you need airflow.
It's a mix you gotta find, like a nice ratio of defoliation to you're keeping your leaves.
Well, if you can't see through to the bottom, that means that air is not moving through as well. So have your leaves on the outside, but on the inside, clear up that air movement.
Sorry, guys. I had to go back to trimming. I just wanted to jump down on that real quick.
Yeah,
but
we saw your
I'm still
gloves,
gonna hang
man.
on.
It's
Oh,
covering
yeah,
that
yeah.
Purple Thumb.
Thanks for jumping in, dude.
I'm gonna hang on. I just had to turn off the camera. I'm trimming the
Hey, no
Purple
worries.
Punch S1 right now. So
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
Yeah, it should be a little. Well, it's more came out red this time rather than purple, but sometimes she turns black.
Sounds terrible. How are you going to deal with it?
I've got too much weed.
Yeah,
It looks too beautiful.
I mean, oddly enough, well, let's say oddly enough, interestingly enough, actually, that purple trait, like purple leaves, purple calyxes, that's a very specific example that comes up in said book.
That book. Yeah. I'm
and-
reading that chapter today.
And that's a really interesting one where, like, you can get purple leaves without purple calyxes, but you can't get purple calyxes without purple leaves. And that's this co-dominance traits. And, you know, that's the complexity of genetics. You know, we often talk about these things in overly simple terms, like, okay, a dominant gene and a recessive gene. But now you've got these co-dominance genes where you've got to have both of them present for that phenotype to be, well, that genotype to be expressed in the phenotypic expression. Fuck, I don't know where I'm going. Good tequila.
I ain't getting involved in that one, man. It's a bit late for that one. But I heard the word purple, so I picked up a bit, but gone again. I do love some colourful buds, though. So you said earlier about, you know, in cocoa, about obviously tricking them into thinking the end of life cycle was coming. I've been reducing temperatures, or trying to. In the British summer, it's almost impossible to do that, no matter where you're growing.
I'm in all
the winter,
living soil too, yeah, organic stuff. So there's no flushing in my stuff. I just, I guess I plan it out right in the soil because she senesces when she needs to. That's how I like
it's
it.
a true expression,
not too
isn't
much
it?
food.
So
yeah, that's
expressing real colour.
True expressions. Yep.
Can it manipulate that a bit in water or in
So
cocoa?
well said. True expression.
Yeah.
Wow. It's and it you know, that's not to knock conventional growing. It's just use what you have around you, use the knowledge around you. Just get something clean, especially if you're doing it for medicinal purposes. But even if you're not, if you're just recreational or whatever, it still doesn't mean you can't be clean. I mean, it's that's what I really want to harp on, is like, I do what I really, the more I get more experience, the more I try to like lean away from like, the term living soil, or so. But it's easier to say it like that so that people can understand a little better. But yeah, I mean, just because I grow that way doesn't mean it's more clean. It would be more clean if the other party sprayed something they shouldn't have. So get what you can with what you have.
It's the simplest way to learn to grow. You said the important word there for growing is experience. That's what separates. I don't like to say an expert growers, consistent growers from, you know, okay growers. That's what it's the experience that you pick up as you go, and keeping it simple there. Like you said, work with what you've got. Don't try and do 1,000 things at once. If you're in living soil, cocoa, water, growing in clay ball, doesn't matter what you're doing. Don't try to do a million things at once. If you keep it simple, use what you've got. Don't try and overdo it. You build on that block every time. And by doing so, you gain the experience. You're going to mess up along the way. Everyone does, and that's it. But the key word to growing, that is the fundamental thing that I try and tell people when I'm not in a place to teach. I'll just share experience on my experiences on. We should get to my horror story in a minute, because that's an experience. But that's what you learn from this stuff, and that's what I try and tell people is you know, the experience is the fundamental, single most important part of growing. And
Kino, just to add on to what you're saying, if you make little transitions, when you mess up, they're small mess ups. But if you're just constantly adding things in, this is every harvest you upgrade. I mean, that's a good thing if you have the ability, but make sure that before you upgrade, you know what you're doing and you know what you're getting yourself into.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. That
one
goes
variable
with
at a
feed
time.
as well.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is why it goes with feed as well. It's the same thing. I've done it. I was a nightmare for many years of, you know, the new shiny bottle that come out. I was in soil, but not like like
Ooh,
living soil.
squirrel.
This was it, yeah. I'd have 4 of them, 2 of them, and 5 litres of that. But I'll just throw 10 things in there, and then I'd start to see a problem on a strain that I'd run for a long time that I couldn't quite pick out. And now I'm looking at it, and it's like, whoa, you know, what one of the 10 things have I added that could be causing that problem? So yeah, just simple. I mean, even now, like again, experience has taught me that even when you know what you're looking at and you know your environment, which is another fundamental. You know, if you, especially in where I'm in the world, you've got you can have a 20-degree day this time of year and then -4 at night in Celsius. Sorry, but
proper temperature.
Yeah, do you understand? But you know, it's it can be 1,000 things go wrong, is where I'm getting at, and it's about trying to not do that. I now grow the most simple I've ever grown. I mean, I use base nutrients in veg with a bit of mycorrhizal. I'll try and say that right. And I use 2 different versions of PK in flour, because obviously I'm in cocoa. What I'm saying though is there's been times I'm using 10 products in veg. I'm using 6 products in flour, and I'm using twice the kit that I'm using. Keep it simple, and you can't go wrong. Add one thing, like you said, Pete, one thing at a time, and then if it goes wrong, you know that it's obviously that problem, man.
And it's what I tell everybody when they whatever like data logger you suddenly use is don't freak the fuck out when you first start looking at the charts, because understand you've been growing good weed without knowing what was going on. Now you know what is going on, and the difference is you can start to say, hang on, I just want to bring some kind of like balance into this thing. I don't want these massive swings. I can now start to adjust things and dial one in at a time. Figure out what it is that you can control, and then control that aspect of it. If you can control humidity and you can't control temperature, then great. You know, and this is where VPD comes into play. If you can control temperature or you can control humidity, either one of those two, then VPD becomes really, really fucking important, because what you do is you can keep them in balance with each other. So as the humidity rises, right, I'm going to crank my temperature up because I can't bring the humidity back down. I'm just going to ramp the temperature up so that it matches, and I keep it that 10 hectopascals, 1 kilopascal VPD. And that is daytime and nighttime. It's not, I have a different VPD during the day and a different VPD at night. If at night your temperatures tank, great, bring the humidity down to match it. Or if your humidity tanks at night, bring the temperature down to match it. But just figure out which one you can control, and that's the one you then dial in.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's again, I'm very envious of Purple's groom there, and the grooms that you see now. I mean, when you can do it legally, you can put a lot more time, effort, and money into it, because you're not worried about someone coming around and taking it all tomorrow at 6 a.m. So it's a big difference, you know what I mean? And it's a lot easier to do that when you're able to put the lot of time and money in. I now have a lot of kit, but it's over 10, 12, 13 years of buying kit. But it's people, but you're growing in lofts or garages or even rooms that, you know, just an empty room in your house in this country. It's a bloody nightmare, man. To try and control any aspect of heating or humidity, you just got to hang in there sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's funny. I mean, when I go over to Denver and you walk into a grow room and there's no carbon filter, and you go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So what do you mean a carbon filter? I don't need to worry. What's my neighbor's going to say I'm growing weed? I mean, it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. I'm allowed to. It's bizarre. But you see positive pressure rather than negative pressure rooms.
Yeah, it would be alien. So I do. You talk to some people. I've done it on Instagram a couple of times. Like, they're trying to explain the problem to me, and I'm trying to go through the kit they've got. And again, they say like no filter, no this, and it's like, what are you doing with no filter? It's like, it's legal, man. Like, you should have a filter. You could get robbed, man. Put a filter. You know what I mean? Like over here, I'm more worried about getting robbed than the old bill, because like it's do a lot more damage to me. But it's crazy. Yeah, it's a new world we're living in, and it's great. I just wish that I was able to be a bit more part of the legal scene, but one day. Hopefully soon we'll be able to, and then we can buy these fancy CO2 kits. And the thing like CO2 kits, for us to use CO2, you have to have a sealed environment, or you're just sucking it out the tent and you know, blowing it out wherever you're blowing it out of. So
anyway,
we are really restricted where I am in the world, and it's not ideal for all of these new toys. So
no, Richard in chat, it's not whiskey. It is let me put it G4 tequila.
Tequila.
This is the
That
Anejo.
stuff looked tasty.
It's really good. I mean, in terms of tequilas, which yes, this is really nice.
Yes.
To make
Not a
your clothes
tequila
come off,
drinker.
Pete.
I mean, I tried the extra Anejo, which is aged 5 years before being shipped out from them, and then I thought I'll go with the rest of the G4 range, see what it's like. So this is Anejo. I probably won't go. I'm going to try the Respirado. I mean, I might go the whole range, get down to the Blanco, but I usually avoid those because they just haven't been aged enough and they're a little too harsh. Reposado is about as low as I'll go on the aging process. But this is terms of a bottle of tequila, just Anejo, coming in at what? I think this was 60 quid for this bottle, but I would rank it up by a Don Julio 1420, which I've got upstairs as well. I mean, this is really up
Just
there.
that in. How much is the pound of the dollar?
It's a $75 bottle of tequila.
Ooh.
It's a good bottle of booze. It's like a
Even
nice
more
scotch.
Canadian.
Yeah, you're gonna be like you pay for when you're drinking like good scotches, good whiskeys, any type of thing.
And that's
takes
it. This is
time.
not a shooter. I mean, you don't shoot this shit. If
You
you went to
enjoy
a
it for that, man.
bar and you paid for a shot of this, you would not shoot it. You're like,
a
"Whoa."
cuddle. Try to take it home.
Sweet talking a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see Pete just moving through the club, just like, no.
I've told my eldest daughter, who's like a pub manager. Well, thanks to the latest lockdown that's coming in now, where all that lot are closed. But she said, "Oh yeah, I'll put one of your bottles behind the bar just for you. So when you come in, you can get a good tequila, because otherwise, no pub in England serves, this kind of tequila. And I don't really like many other drinks other than that. So I'll walk in here. Yeah, I'll have mine. Thank you very much." I'm keen to try and get that tequila movement going over here.
No, they like tea, man.
Tequila.
It makes me happy.
Tequila's more than ones that comes out when you're back at someone else and everything else has run out over here, isn't it? It's not saying it's not saying people just sort of drink. I don't think.
Yeah, because everybody's used to like bar tequila.
Yeah.
I mean, this is single malt whiskey style tequila.
Same
I mean,
thing
I'm
with
putting this
vodka.
into this is in the
It's the posh one.
Lafroig. This is like Lafroig. It's up in that category.
Yeah.
This is your single malt version of tequilas.
Yeah.
It's when you suddenly, even your even your Jose Cuervo, which is like the cheap, nasty shit that you tend to find in the bars. I mean, Jose Cuervo do like really upmarket tequila, but you just not. They also do the really cheap end.
Which is what everyone's buying, because it's the idea when you're out of thing, isn't it? To get battered, but.
Well, yeah, when they're mixing it up, and when they're mixing it up, it doesn't matter what the initial booze tastes like.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine walking up and ordering, I'll have a Lafroig and Coke, please. It's like fucking smack. Okay, so here's a drink horror story. My missus ordered a Lafroig and a Coke. The waiter walked up carrying the Coke and the Lafroig, and as he got the table, went Coke into the Lafroig, put it down. It's like, no. We ordered a Coke and a Lafroig, not the two together, mate. What the fuck have you just done? Take it back.
Yeah, I don't want that one. Sorry.
Here's your water and your meal.
Yeah, exactly.
I said those two separately. Yeah.
I find that really funny though, hearing you guys talk about drinking culture over there and what you want to get started, because I have a 1/4 pint Angram beer engine, and I make British cask ales. So.
Oh, mad.
Yeah. So I have half barrels that are steel casks, and I make that kind of stuff just because I have a Camera Cellarman's Guide. So I really got into that stuff. So I actually designed a draft system because it won't sell as fast over here. So I made a draft system where I can make British style real ale, put it on a pump, but keep it at a higher carbonation level and keep it colder like Americans like.
Fair play.
I tried to
Good
get a
way
patent on it, but I don't have the money.
Just keep enjoying it for now then. Yeah, no, fair play to you. So I've never
I'm
done
actually
that. That's
gonna
everything.
go though. I gotta order some food before my podcast, our podcast, most of us tonight are on the panel. So I gotta eat before I start drinking.
Hey, no worries, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
So yeah, if you want to come by, Pete, when you wake up, we'll probably still be going.
Oh yeah, as I say, it doesn't get real until it's 5 hours in.
Right.
the first 3 hours is the warm up.
So
Same
yeah,
thing goes
yeah.
for Kino and GMO. If you guys want to come, you're more than welcome to come to Fumi's. You know that, guys.
Cool,
Yeah.
man. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate
Buds
being
with
invited in
brews.
tonight, man.
5
well,
hours when you can walk in, just go, think. As I said, pull the pin, drop the grenade, fuck off.
Have a good night, Smash.
Yeah,
See
you guys.
later
I'll
then.
see you guys later. 8 o'clock.
man.
Going,
Catch you
man.
later.
See you
Pacific
soon.
Standard. 11
8
Eastern
o'clock.
Standard.
Yep.
Have
Our
a good night,
time?
guys.
What is
Take
that?
care,
Cheers,
Eastern?
Smash.
Hi,
Okay.
Smash.
What time is
Yeah.
that on the East Coast?
I think at 11 o'clock. Right, he said 8.
So
So
11 o'clock, so it's
8,
going to be
9,
3
10, 11.
a.m. Given that you guys haven't gone back at the same time that we've gone back,
Yeah.
you fucking idiots.
Oh,
8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All the woes of having to change your clock.
And then 3 a.m.
It'd be 3 a.m. UK.
the
yeah,
mystery Pete time.
yeah. Nah, Mystery Pete time, the real time.
So I will go, if I can, real quick back to the topic of horror stories, because I've been listening to them all, so I've been gathering things around to kind of make checklists of things that you want to use to prevent all the horror stories we've heard. Okay? So first of all, I ran to my grow and I grabbed this. So each of you should have one of these, no matter what you're doing. If you're growing, you need one of these. Okay? Just period. You will have one of these. There's no negotiating. There's no compromising. You get one of these. You keep it handy.
You own a car, you own a grow, you own a house, you live in an apartment, you're near a kitchen. You need
Don't
one, you need
forget.
one of those. Yeah.
Don't let it get expired and recharge it.
Check your shit.
Or buy a new one if you have to.
I left my email.
You need a respirator. Okay, if you're going to be messing with mixing perlite, if you're going to be mixing any mixing dry ingredients that you're going to do, this is kind of a safety thing that you really don't want to mess with. Even if you have allergies and you just don't want to be all stuffed up after working with male pollen or something like that, buy one of these. They're not expensive. They don't, you just take care of it. You can change these out when you need to. You don't beat the crap out of them. They will last quite a long time. Next is
Where
this
can
guy.
they pick up one of those? The mouse.
Honestly, I get this one at Harbor Freight, but you can find them at any home supply store, period. They're just, but you want one that actually has a filter and a respiration system for doing this kind of stuff.
Any
Especially if
hardware
you're
store
like
in the UK.
95 rating.
I don't actually even know how they, because this uses the canisters, so I don't know what the rating is for them actually. I just know you can use them for fumes and things like that. So if they're going to capture gases, if they're going to capture things like that, because I don't know if this is for
You want a
viruses necessarily, but
particulate filter on them.
yeah. And these are
Also,
cheap.
if you're
Like I said.
mixing soil, that's great to wear a
Yeah,
mouse.
in
the
anything
UK,
dry.
In the UK, you can buy them at Screwfix or any one of those spots. And any hardware store you can buy them. Yeah.
And then same thing at your hardware store, you'll find these. Okay, these are outdoor battery backup, 2 outlet programmable timers. You can set them for all the events you want, on and off. They're very cheap. These are $10 each. And like I said, you find them at your local home supply store. They're UL rated and all that good stuff. You can Velcro them to stuff if you want to stick them up places. But again, they have a battery backup. So even though this is unplugged, I don't know if you can see it, it's still keeping time.
Yeah.
So it'll still keep the events if you lose power or whatever. If you fluctuate power, this doesn't go out and it'll restore your system. So you don't have to rely on, the little pegs in the timer, knocking one out, whatever. You don't have to, worry about if your, local utility is working on stuff. As soon as it comes back on, this is still in play.
You do need a PhD to set the timers on them things sometimes, though.
Fair enough.
Or a 13-year-old. One of the
two. And this is the one piece of next level equipment that we've got. I just got this. You guys might be familiar with what this is. But this is the one way you can keep an eye on your grow when you're not there. So that or a camera, I guess, are your two options for that. But as far as basic safety, these three items, right? The electronic timer with a backup, the respirator mask, and a fire extinguisher will avoid most of your horror stories in your grow room.
Unless it's mine. I'm known for breaking and doing things that normally wouldn't happen. But yeah, fair play.
I mean,
Definitely safety first.
It makes me go back to like a horror story from university days. So thankfully that's like 30 fucking years ago. So statutes of limitation are fully in play. On a night out where a mate and I went round to our local dealer and bought like an ounce of weed and some speed from him at the same time. Now he weighed the speed up on the scales before he weighed the weed up. And what we noticed when he weighed the weed up is like, whoa, there's a load of speed still on those scales. So we scraped the weed off the scales as we put it into our bag, head out for the night on our gram of speed, get back in the morning at 4 a.m. and decide, okay, let's hit that weed so that we can kind of come back down to reality. Oddly enough, every time we're hitting this weed in this bong, fuck me, are we rushing our tits off? You know, it's like every time, whoa, straight back to where we were. And they're like, hang on a second. Until you realize, hang on, all that weed's just covered in speed. And all we're getting is we're just hitting speed every time we put it in the bong. We were up for days.
I bet, man. I bet.
No good.
Complete opposite effect.
What's really funny is when you go on your, I mean, I don't know if you've got any kids, but like my youngest daughter was going around like universities, and one of them was my old university, and we decided to go there for the open day.
I bet that was funny. Yeah.
I'm walking around with her going, oh, yep, I've slept in that gutter over there. Grown up over those fences over there. Like, maybe you shouldn't come here.
The thing is, you might not get into teens now, and you look at them and you think, what was I doing at your age? And no. So I just don't let them out. Lock them in their bedrooms and never going out. Staying here.
That is the scariest thing, man. It's like I'm not worried about the drugs I did. I'm worried about the drugs I haven't done.
Yeah.
Because I can't give you any advice on them. You know, my approach with my kids has been, what do you want to know? You know, say no, K-N-O-W to drugs. You know, I'm going to educate you on these fucking things. You know, don't go away. Yeah, my attitude was like, hey, fuck, it's a great summer. Do you want to go and drop some acid in the park? And they're like, no, Dad, we don't want to drop acid. Like, come on. Squeegee your third eye. Let's go out there. You got to experience this shit. You got to know where we're coming from, man. I highly recommend psychedelics, by the way.
I'm looking at mushrooms now. I have to take some tablets sometimes for certain things in my head, and I want to try different ways of doing it. It all doesn't do that. The oil it's for other things. But yeah, I'm definitely starting to want to explore that side of things. I've never really done it. I mean, I was a kid. I messed about with a lot of things, but psychedelics was never really one of them, man.
Oh man, no, I mean, to me, psychedelics are. And look, in this last year, secret time, to quote Bert Kreischer, you know, having gone through like a lot of mental fucking anguish and like really found myself in a position where I had a complete fucking mental breakdown. The thing that actually managed me to switch it around was microdosing it on LSD. And going through quite a regimen of doing it. I mean, I've done antidepressants. They resulted in suicidal tendencies. I mean, fuck, I will never touch that shit again. Yeah. I mean, I would actually say if you are considering taking antidepressants, stay the fuck away from that shit. Get into microdosing some LSD or mushrooms or something that can just, I mean, that's the role that psychedelics play. It's get to know you.
Yeah.
Growing beautiful plants makes me feel good. I don't know. Just seeing them pretty colors, just I don't know, puts a smile on my face every time I can.
Yeah, I've said this. I said if I didn't have any use for the end product, I'd still grow, because that is I'm not like this. I'm not like a tree hugger out there, but that's my time, and I just enjoy what I do. I recently had to grow more than what I would have liked because knew I'd have to shut down for a little while. I needed oil. So I needed to stockpile, and I didn't enjoy it, and it took the fun out of it. I need to get back to what I love, and that's playing with smaller plants. But if I had no use for the end product, I'd go this far. If I had to pick between using oil or smoking weed and growing, I would grow. That's how much it means to me, and that's how much I love just the growing side of it. I mean, if I had to, honestly, someone said to me, you can grow for the rest of your life, but you have to throw everything you grow away. Or you can smoke and you can have it free, but you can't grow. I'm going to grow plants. That's how much I love growing, man. It's taken over everything in my life, hobby, passion, everything.
I find that to be the most fascinating thing about growing cannabis. Growing in the UK, regardless of whether it's cannabis or not. I mean, what I've seen it do is take pupils at school who knew nothing. It's going to sound terrible. Take like the thickest kid in your class, but suddenly they have this interest in biology and a plant that they suddenly really study up and get really into and they get a passion for growing. It's an odd one where it's the side effect of the drug is really what everybody's after. It's not, that's the recreational side of it, but at the same time, it gives this whole weird sort of people get into growing things, and it sort of extends from there. Suddenly they go into, I'm going to grow my own chilies. I mean, I can grow weed. Yeah, great. I can grow weed, but now I'm going to grow chilies. I'm going to grow tomatoes. I mean, it's suddenly, and you see these kids who at a point in their lives were absolutely, I coin a phrase, thick as pig shit, but they suddenly find something they can gel into, and you go, okay, great. You've got an interest now. Let's work with that.
Yeah.
Let's turn it into something productive. All that interest energy, let's make it something. And that's where legalization becomes interesting.
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally agree with that. It's just a routine as well, almost. It's a bit of responsibility as well. Anyone can grow. You can grow underneath a 2-watt bulb and you're going to produce nothing. But a plant will grow in a 1-inch pot, but to grow well and to get to that pot, to grow decent, be self-sufficient, be growing the best that you can, you have to have a bit of dedication. That's something missing from a lot of kids these days, I think. That's a whole nother podcast, man, on the youth of today. I say earlier, you've got lions in Africa, we've got hood rats here, man, and they'll kill you real quick. You know what I mean? Little shits. But yeah, it's I don't know, man. But I think
it's a gateway drug. Gateway to growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And other
gateway to getting high at the greengrocers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you enjoy everything a lot more. For me, it's led on to mushrooms quite quickly, and mushroom cultivation's like fascinating after you've been growing something that goes so slow as cannabis in comparison.
And then get into chilies. I mean, get into chili cultivation. I'm now messing around with some of my own crosses of chilies, where I'm now starting to think, well, I can create a Lingfield local kind of chili,
That's
something
cool,
that's specific to the area, that's kind of grown out, that's been bred, that will grow in this sort of environment, and just kind of work it. And the interest comes in when you start growing something, regardless of what it is. I think it's that responsibility factor, that I'm responsible for the life of this thing. That's the lesson that's being taught.
Well, you say that. It was when I had to move in some predatory mites. I was like, I'm going to move in some banker plants. So I've got Scotch bonnets, cayenne pepper, some jalapenos, just to have a few different things to kind of keep everything in the place happy. You start looking into what's going to keep them all happy. And
chilies and cannabis, oddly enough, are really good proxy plants in terms of their nutrient requirement and the style of growing. They both like the same style, the same environmental conditions, the same nutrient regime or fertigation regime. They both respond equally the same way, and it's a really good proxy plant.
I had to cut down my my indoor. Well, I was also growing peppers alongside my cannabis, and I had to cut them down. They were enjoying it too much in there, and it was summer here too, so they were fucking going nuts. So yeah, I totally see what you're saying, man. they're perfect, and especially since you basically, oh yeah, you have a greenhouse. That's right. But obviously, we all basically have an indoor, little greenhouse or little tents. But it's nice to have that as well. That's cool that you can uh, leave that out or bring that in. But yeah, I like what GMO was saying. It's just like, yeah, that one little change of like, oh, now I have to put in predatory mites. Well, how do I make sure that they stay so I'm getting the most for my money? Then you go into the different, well, that's why I believe you went into the cayenne, because the pollen
Yeah,
is
yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's perfect. So it's those things that make you more aware. And then you're just like, oh yeah, the cannabis plant, but fuck this pepper plant. Like, wow. And
I mean,
then you go into the mushrooms. Yeah, Pete?
I had jalapenos, big ripe jalapenos in January in this country. I mean, I was growing. I mean, I had this plant growing, and then when I put it into the greenhouse, I have this seriously mature plant that's ready to go. So from February onwards in the greenhouse, I've been harvesting peppers for nearly 11 months now. It's
That's
crazy.
something I wanted to say about the flowering cycle. Because I haven't grown many different types of chilies and peppers. If I keep like harvesting the fruits, are they just going to keep flowering perpetually?
Yep.
In I run
So the difference
16
between
hours light, so I'm cheap.
Okay, so the difference between chilies. Okay, so cannabis is what we call a short day flowering plant, in terms of it requires a certain amount of darkness in which to flower. Peppers are, and auto flowering cannabis is a maturity plant. When it reaches a certain maturity, it flowers. Doesn't matter what you do to the damn thing, it will flower at that maturity level. So with chilies, you find they reach a maturity and they start to blossom. And you can keep them in that blossom stage so long as you don't let the temperature and humidity fluctuate too much. If you let the temperature spikes all of a sudden and then crashes, they'll do a blossom drop. They'll drop everything, and you've got to kind of coax them back into blossoming again. But other than that, if you can keep them constant, they will just produce fruit. They won't stop. They just keep going. They don't realize that the season's over.
That's exactly what I've seen. As soon as I moved them indoors, because it was starting to get a bit chilly, they kind of dropped most of their old leaves and all the flowers that they were trying to make. But
yeah.
A lot of the fruit, they were kind of like, I'm going to finish you quick. You're not getting any bigger.
And there's a big difference between, I mean, like this season in the run on the jalapenos, yeah, the start of the season, I could just pick them off the plant and eat them. Now I won't do that. I'm not that stupid. I'm like, no. I'll pick them and cook them up, and or put them into a pickle or something. There is a point where they suddenly switch, and the capsicum count just ramps up them. On jalapenos, it's when they go from green to dark green, that black coloring. When that happens, that's when they started to really pump the heat out. And so that's why red versus green will be a lot hotter. The red ones will be hotter than the green ones. Red versus black, not much of a difference. Not that I find.
Is there a way of drying them so they stay green with jalapenos? Because I found as soon as I started to dry them, they went bright red.
Yeah, no. You can't keep them green.
Chlorophyll.
Sorry?
I believe in most chilies, it's the chlorophyll that's giving them the green color, and hence, just like us, when you dry them out and they start losing that, it's one of the first molecules to break down.
Yeah, and it's a fruit, so it starts to ripen up.
So is it fair to say that dried jalapenos would be a lot hotter than green ones? Would they progress?
Green, yes.
Yeah. So
they
by weight, yes, because they concentrate the capsaicin.
Good point.
Yeah, by weight, definitely. But you'll find, so like chipotle, which is a smoked jalapeno. Yeah,
Chipotle.
Don't make my mistake and go and ask for chipotle seeds.
I
can't get them. Trust me, I made that mistake. You spend 6 months trying to investigate the ability to find. Yeah. Bear in mind, this was many years ago before the internet was a real thing. It was a little bit more difficult to find this shit.
And you probably don't have too many Latinos living near you and too many Mexican markets and stuff like that. Whereas here, like I've got a Mexican market closer to me than any other.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah.
Nothing top, bro. We got all kinds of. I got an African market. I got all kinds of stuff. Just because I'm in a place where there's a lot of working class people of different stripes, so you get a lot of cool shit like that.
See, we had that in London. I was saying the other day when I used to live in London, it was you could get anything you wanted, and it was mad. Every shop had, even like normal shops, had variety of everything because it was real multicultural. But now I've moved out of London. It's complete. I can't even get peri peri right out, man. Drives me mad. You ask for peri peri, and it's not. It's just like I've just poured sauce, haven't cooked it or nothing. And yeah, I miss decent food, especially, and I'm completely melting on oil at 1 in the morning. There's no takeaways either at 1 in the morning. In London, you get takeaways till 5 in the morning, but I miss multicultural food.
Oh yeah, I mean it's what I was telling my daughter when she went off to uni. It was like, I hope you wind up in a flat with other. I mean, like I'm first generation immigrant. I mean, I am. And my kids are, I mean, what's funny is both my kids are born over here. So they're 100% British. And there's been interesting times when I've said, okay, so South Africa is playing England in the next rugby match. Like, who are you supporting? Well, England. Like, no. Let's just be clear about one thing here.
Especially with the rugby, yeah.
But that actually came about when she had an Australian teacher, and I went, "Ooh, South Africa is playing Australia tomorrow. Go in and give your teacher shit." And she went, "Why?" I mean, what do you mean, why? I mean, South Africa is playing Australia. She went, "Yeah, but I'm English, Dad." I went, "No, you're fucking not when it comes to rugby."
Thing is, like,
when it comes to rugby, you're not.
The rugby's different now. The kids don't understand it anymore. It's as big, but it's not as ingrained, is it? I think. I don't know. Maybe that's just because I'm not in touch with kids, like growing up.
But the thing is, like over here, I mean, in England, it's football. In South Africa, it's rugby. In America, it's American football and baseball. I mean, in South Africa, yeah, no, rugby is religion over there. At least when I was growing up, I mean, school games used to be publicized on like TV. You get like the top schools would play against each other. Like in America, where you got your top college football would be playing. You watch top schools playing rugby and you go, that's the national team that's coming out next. The top guys from those are who form the national team.
It was here rugby. Rugby was just not as big, but I mean, it was like a subculture of rugby here. It is. I mean, rugby is big here, but you're right. The people running around, falling over, getting blown on playing football. That's what, unfortunately, is the main sport of this country. Or boxing, which is coming up now.
Rugby in this country is considered like, I mean, I think the perception in England is rugby is played by private schools. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's the upper echelon. It's that weird thing in South Africa. Rugby is played by everybody. So you have this huge selection pool, and that's what makes those Southern Hemisphere. Getting on the topic of rugby, but I mean that's what makes the Southern Hemisphere team so much more formidable.
No, I get that.
At a national level, this is the sport we play. We don't play football at a national level. We play rugby at a national level. So you're not in England. Football is the most common denominator sport, and so you've got thousands of people playing it, and rugby tends to be a much more elitist sport in this country. It generally is. At least that's the perception.
I used to play rugby at quite a high level, and it was. I mean, I'm not no silver spoon or nothing. And the school that I come from, it wasn't like that. But you're right. The schools we were playing, very, very upper class. And yeah, once you start moving into the upper teams and upper leagues of it, it is mostly the upper class in there. So you're right.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, and that was one of the things I remember like distinctly in South Africa was rocking up, coming from I will admit, being in a well-to-do family, and turning up at a rugby field where the locals were farmers. And you're like, whoa, where's the grass, mate? No, we're playing on that. Like, Yeah, dude, that's a fucking gravel pitch. We're used to playing on like some like grass that you can land on and not bother about it. You know, like, whoa. And you guys are all turning up barefoot? Fuck me. This is going to not end well.
This is it. A few missing teeth at the end of it, but no, I loved the old rugby, man. I really did. Best years of my life, I think, and his enjoyment. And that's sort of saying when I had to stop all that, that was when I really found growing, and it took over all that side of it. So, yeah.
And rugby is a really interesting one. I mean, I always find it amusing when you watch football or soccer, and you watch like soccer, the ref on a soccer team, you go, and they all give him shit.
I know.
You guys are all like shorter than the ref. And a rugby team, these guys are meat mountains who don't
especially these
wear
days.
guards, who like, the ref
Let's not get onto that with.
Boy, you, and they go, oh, sorry, off they go. You know, it's what did they say? Played by rugby is played by hooligans and watched by gentlemen. Football is what, played by gentlemen and watched by hooligans.
Played by girls and watched by girls, I think. But...
I'd love to see a footballer get tackled properly by a rugby player and go, all right, mate, that's a tackle. How are you doing?
So it was interesting. We once played an American team that was over here. We were quite a high level team that I played for that were on tour, and it was around the time I think that the Lions thing was going on, and it was the sort of like they managed like between the adults that were basically sorting out to play them, and the difference between but you said the no pads and getting stuck in like that. But it was interesting. But then we then returned the favour and played American football and got our asses kicked. But it was a laugh. It was good. I think with rugby, a lot of respect is taught through rugby. Like you say, that it's quite a weird one considering you are manhandling, and there's some big lumps, like you say, that they're monsters. But we're going on to rugby now. We'll have to do another show on that one, Pete.
I mean, I've walked it's scary. I mean, I've been in bars like in South Africa where you've got like, okay, so growing up in Durban, Natal Sharks is the team, and you see them on TV, and you go, yeah, fine. And you stand in a bar, and one of the guys walks in, and you go like, holy fuck! Like, I would not want to be coming up against you, man. You just look like the kind of guy who's going to push my face into the pavement and not think twice about it.
That's all the big forwards with their smashed up heads from rubbing against each other's bums in the scrums and that, yeah.
And
like
how
monsters.
that game has changed. I mean, if you go back, I mean, I remember, like the front row, the scrum would be guys who were drinking beer and smoking cigarettes on the sideline, and they'd get out there. Now,
they're
the
all
prop can do 100 meters in Olympic qualifying time. You know, you're like, holy fuck.
So, I mean, it's a different game now. It's really it's elite level athletes. Where before, if you could have a tear up and run at half decent pace, you could play rugby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can you drink 4 pints and kick a ball? Yeah. All right. Come on then.
Don't stand over there. Right. I'll do my horror story, Pete. I'm going to have to get off in a minute because we've recorded the boxing. So I'm going to have to turn YouTube off now after that because someone will tell me what's happened with the boxing. Please don't tell me anyone what's happened with the boxing, please. Because I've made him record it.
You see, I'm like, what boxing? So you're good.
Oh, okay, good. Because it's a live one. But we've actually paid for it, and I've come up here, and I know they're down there. Like the boy will be like waiting for me to come down and watch it. But so my worst one was I was new to the forums, and I've grown in salt, and obviously I was a new grower, so I was an expert, and I knew everything. I wouldn't listen to anyone. And there was this one fella who was growing in RDWC, and this is why I always say RDW is king, because what the plants I've seen done in it. But he was growing 45-ounce plants in these 20-litre pots, 20-litre DWC, RDWC connected up. So I was talking to him as a new guy on the forum, like, you know, all these big like giants, and I thought, oh, can you like take me through? He's like, yeah, I'll mentor you. I'm like, oh God, this guy's going to mentor me. So he's giving me a shopping list to go out and build this great big RDW. Oh, great big. This is what I'm saying. This is how new I was to grow, and I actually called it like the Big Daddy Tree, like stupid name, because I was like, yeah, this is going to grow. That's back then I thought that's going to grow me some 50-ounce monsters in my 1.2 by 0.6. But he sent me shopping list through. I've done like a lot of money, ordering all the stuff, built it all, done a write up to how to build it, and thought I was a dog's bollock because I've got this step-by-step process. Set it up, nothing but fucking problems. Anyway, the levels wouldn't stay right. It had return pipes that were soft, and it was just a fucking nightmare. So after, I don't know, 3 weeks of pain in the ass, I've walked into the bedroom. And what I didn't notice was the water on the floor. I did notice was the electric current running up the left leg through my foot. So I've now jumped off the floor over onto the bed, like commando, rolled it over to the plug sockets, ripped them out of the wall to assess the damage. Now what's happened is the roots have gone and got all clogged up in the return pipes because they're soft and they're bendy, and I've had to do different levels. Anyway, there's 60 litres of water on the floor in the bedroom, and I've now started to mop it up with all my towels and that. And the missus has come in screaming and shouting at me because I'm using new sheets and new bedding to just dry this stuff. And yeah, so I'll sit there and I think I've got all dry, and I thought I'm going to be, go in, collect your faults, because I've got the hump for collect your faults. So I'm not going to just destroy it. I'm going to try and repair it. So I've got these Gorilla buckets. They're about 30 litres. Well, I don't know what that is in gallons. So I'm to refill them. And as I'm walking, I'm dry clothes again. As I'm walking out of the bathroom where I filled up the tub, my dog comes running out of the room and then knocks my leg from under me. So me and the bucket go up in the air again. So now we're talking around 90 litres now between the hallway and the thing. So needless to say, the dog and the DW system got thrown in the garden. And that was it. I went back to growing in soil, and I eventually found cocoa. But that was probably one of my worst ones because I got electrocuted, flooded the house, nearly got thrown out. And I literally, it was that much of the hump, I wouldn't tidy up my garden. I had fake grass as well, so it looked really bad. I launched it out and it exploded like this system on the floor by the back door, and the clay pebbles just shot everywhere. So I'm not fucking cleaning that up. I just left it there. But it was like you would know if you was looking at, a grower was looking out of one of the other windows upstairs, they would know that there was net pots and bits of green matter and clay pebbles everywhere. So that was probably my
brilliant.
And he lived to tell the tale, folks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying the stuff you said wouldn't help, but it wouldn't help that one. I don't think I got a grow about something bad happening. That's the problem. I don't think it's still, every grow something bad happens to me. But
it's usually lights, man. It's usually lights, isn't it?
Normally dropping lights on stuff, yeah.
Worms and LEDs.
Yeah. This is the thing. This is I've always said, like the LEDs. It's not that I don't want to use them. I just don't want to drop £800. If you're dropping a £20 bulb, it's different to dropping an £800 LED on the floor. But
yeah, but then you also look at it like, okay, how long does that LED last you?
Yeah. This is it. Yeah.
That's
not long if you drop it.
Yeah, true. But longer if you drop an HPS bulb. That's for sure.
Yeah. Don't forget shit HPS bulbs. Like, the ones that I've had of late, every time you just touch them, they seem to go now. I think the quality isn't what they used to be, but.
And then that's really the thing that I think people. That's the difficult bit when you're selling LED is to say, okay, look, you're not going to be back for another 2 years before you have to buy another one, as opposed to every 3-6 months, I'm going to see you back here buying new bulbs. And also it's 800 watts as opposed to 1,000 watts as opposed to 600 watts that you're running. So yeah, it's that kind of weird mentality. People just see the immediate money they're spending, not the long-term money that they're spending. And that's where LED suddenly makes a lot more sense, is when you look at the long-term outlay.
Yeah, you can't argue with the quality either. I was up until one of our sponsors gave me a light to try, and it blew my mind, the difference. I've done a side-by-side 1.2 by 2.4, 4 plants on the right, 4 on the left, underneath HPS and LED. LED completely destroyed it despite running at 120 less watts. So yeah,
I mean, since I switched over to the Sandlight Q6Ws, okay, yeah, fortunately I got given them for free.
Nice light.
So that makes a difference. Yeah, it makes it easy.
Makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, €700 lights each, and they were given 2 of them. So yeah, I can't complain. And running for 3 years now, and yeah, absolutely, yeah, I mean, I think LED had that. It had to hit that cusp and go over the point where, like, okay, now it makes sense. There was a point beforehand where you were buying, big kudos to everybody who invested in LED before it became truly what it is today, because they were the people that paid for the R&D. Now we're all benefiting from the R&D. Everybody who paid for bleeding edge technology, we all now benefit from it. So that be cars and everything else.
For you Brits, do you remember a guy named Stealthy Sam who was making some of the early LED lights?
So I do, mate. No.
No.
I'll look him up. But
I have one of his lights. That's actually
really?
the one I still run it. I freaking love the thing. And he's old school, man. He was way back in the day. But I have a Blurple from him, a red blue. And when a couple of they used little plug-in LEDs, so a couple of them have died, and I swapped them out for whites. And eventually the thing, because I can't get red blues, it'll eventually all go to a 5K white. But his setup is still working great. Like, I can just switch the lights in and out, red and blues for whites or whatever. So, I mean, Stealthy Sam, if you're still out there, bro, way to go, man. He was a UK guy. He built it by hand, and I paid him for it. It was awesome.
No, fair play, man.
That's the community supporting each other as well, man.
It is.
It's sometimes the guys who really care about what they're making, that they don't turn out enough product as well sometimes because the profit margin's not in it. But these quality units from people really enjoying what they're doing, like, full respect to them.
Yeah, that thing still runs moms, clones, all that kind of stuff, and it does a great job. Like, I flowered under it before back in the day, but man, that thing is still solid.
Yeah, but the difference, when you get stuff that's made for the industry it's supposed to be used in, too much stuff. I mean, and I see that over here, and I'm going to go on record now and say it, but if you are using that Dyson looking fucking dildo temperature and humidity monitor, which is actually a baby room monitor, go fuck yourselves.
This is what you were saying. I wondered what product we were talking about yesterday.
How do you really feel, Pete?
Yeah, go fuck yourselves. It's a Bluetooth device that lets everyone know what you're doing. It's like, fuck's sake, man. Air Comfort, I think, is what the brand name they go by over here. It's Air Comfort. Personally, I would avoid them like the plague. I mean, look, good on you for wanting to monitor your environment, but there are better products out there for doing. I will even recommend the competition over those fucking things. I really would. I say in this sector, look for people who are producing products that are designed for the market and who actually use the products themselves. I mean, like Mars Hydro, I'm not going to slate them, but again, do Mars Hydro grow cannabis with their lights? Not in China, they fucking don't.
So I need to go, so I can't get on the Mars Hydro rant. We could do a whole show on that if you want. I could do that for 3 hours on the Mars Hydro light. Sorry to anyone using them, but you shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, each to their own. What works for you works for you.
This is it. It's. I know people that are still using some Blurple lights. I mean, that they do numbers that I could never hit, man. So it's mad. And this is it. Everyone should be able to do it. Everyone will get bad experiences, and that's what it's hard because you get people that want to rant on the forum sort of thing that want to go into it, but it's like that's your opinion. Obviously, you need to be able to share it, and that's a problem with social media as well. Is you can get someone who's quite heavily influenced on a lot of people. Really go after something. That's why I really try not to get involved in even the stuff that's blown up on me. You know what I mean? Because we have a forum, like GMO knows this, and we have a lot of people that will see what we post. And it's a bit of a tricky one.
Yeah, I try to, and I don't try to over promote out my own product. To be honest, I'd much rather people are monitoring their environment. Then using our product is one way of monitoring your environment. Great, but I'd much rather people just monitoring their environments.
It comes across, Pete. We've spoke a few times now, and you haven't at all, really. You know what I mean? I wanted to talk to you actually about sitting down at some point just to talk about your product because we've done 3 shows this week, and I don't know that much about your product because you don't. You're not trying to push it down my throat. But that I like that. That makes me want your product. Do you know what I mean? Instead of someone trying to tell me this, have this.
Right.
So-
push me, and I'm gonna push back at you.
This is it. You know. So
I mean, I go by what I do in my normal business daytime, and that is I'd much rather listen to subject matter experts who know their area of expertise and then will recommend that this is what I use to validate my area of expertise and go, okay, cool. That makes more sense then.
Yeah.
Too many, that's my opinion at least. There's too many shit is just pushed out there without real understanding and they don't use it. And you go, okay, well, you don't use this fucking thing, man. You don't know shit.
In beer, we always run into that people, if they like your beer, they're going to promote it. If you make a beer for them and they come and try it, even if you're in a weird place, even if it's a hard to get product, if they try it and they like it, they're going to tell their friends about it. And that's just something, and that becomes very important. Like, again, for Pete, those of us, like, that's what I do. But, those of us who are customers, we're going to be your best advocates. And that's just how it is for any business. Because for beer, especially in food, that's how it is. You tell your friends about the places that rock, and you tell them about the places that suck.
This is it.
You don't just say, yeah.
We've spoke to someone this week, someone else that we deal with, and they've done exactly the same thing. They've just literally given the stuff out. They haven't done no flashy marketing. They just said, use that, come back to us. And they've got honest reviews, and the product's really done what it says. But the point is that's all they've done. There was nothing. It wasn't, like you say, it wasn't pushed on you. And that for me, like, even if the stuff didn't do as well as it said, I'd probably still buy it because it's the right way to do it, But I've got to shoot, lads, because my boy is going to beat me up when I go downstairs if I don't, because he's waiting to watch the boxing. But I really appreciate coming on, man. Really appreciate everyone. So
Tyson won.
Did he? I don't. No, he's fighting soon, isn't he? Don't. He's back. Roy Jones. Oh, it's the only sport I watch now as well.
There you go. I don't even know what fight we're talking about, but at least I didn't ruin it for you.
They're fighting in a month, Mike Tyson. So you could have ruined it. No, Pete, thank you very much, mate, and everyone else.
Worries,
thank you very much.
You're more than welcome to jump in whenever, buddy.
Cool, man. The same to you and everyone else with what we do. So happy days. Right,
cool.
Stay safe, everyone, and I'll definitely see you about. I'll be in your chats and.
Excellent.
Next, cool. All right.
Stay safe, Keno,
Have
man.
a good
Enjoy
weekend.
the fight.
Take care, guys.
Can I hear somebody pouring a drink?
Yeah, filling
You've been caught. You've been caught.
Oh, it's a drink.
Not
Yeah.
a drink. It's a drink for the ladies. It is.
That's
I'm gonna have to grab another drink. Damn it!
pouring water into a bucket out of the reservoir.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, guys are getting started early.
I went and got a hemp beer or something like that down at the corner store. I don't normally drink, but it's Halloween, so I'm gonna hang out and have a good drink tonight. But I stayed up late last night with a bunch of you guys till like early this morning, so it'd be a late night. Sounds fun.
Yeah. No, all good.
I'm the same. These guys almost peer pressure you into doing it by showing their enjoyment.
Yeah, I'm enjoying tonight. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, we give taste description. Oh, look at the color. Oh, the carbonation is beautiful. Oh, it just feels so good coming down. Oh my gosh. I love the flavor.
That chronic table and the flavors, you got to do a tequila evening. That's what needs to happen.
They'll get about 3 hours in instead of a normal 5.
Yeah. Definitely.
I've just been trying to stick to experiments I make myself just to keep myself from going overboard and quarantine and stuff. So I've been trying to limit myself to only weird things I ferment myself. So next up, I think is fermented cola and fermented root beer.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, they're already done and bottled. The cola turns clear when you ferment it. It turns into a Zima, basically. You keep the fruit flavors, you keep some of the spices, but you lose all the color. It turns clear.
That's crazy.
I'm a sucker for a good root beer.
I ferment everything. I'm nuts.
Yeah, and are you doing you said ferment, so you're not putting in CO2. You're you're cultivating the microbes that would create it.
Yeah, I usually never, just because I like British Cascade a lot, I never usually charge my beers with CO2 because I keep them with living yeast. I just charge them with different sugars. And that's also how I do a lot of weird ferments. So I'll like do a standard beer, but then I'll split it into different vessels and I'll carbonate each one with something different. Because if I carbonate with brown sugar, or I carbonate with molasses, or I carbonate with fruit juice, or I carbonate with freeze-dried mangoes, whatever, I can get a different effect in each bottle. I can take one beer and have it come out like red wine if I carbonate with freeze-dried blueberries, or I can carbonate with freeze-dried mangoes and have it come out tasting and looking like white wine.
That's crazy.
So, oh yeah. Well, it's food fermentation. Like we're always talking about, like you guys are talking about your chilies, right? Well, Lactobacillus plantarum, i.e. of plants, is just living on all your chilies. That's how they make fermented chili paste. That's what I'm pretty sure is making this Malawi cob I got going behind me is plantarum. That's most likely what's living on our plants. So
did you coach that from your plants? Sorry.
I suppose in a way, because I just crammed the plants in a jar. I didn't wash them off or anything. I just crammed. So yeah, I guess.
I wanted to ask if you inoculated with something, or if it was just like
wild fermentation.
Yeah, air collection or something.
It's what's living on your plant, which is, according to what we know, is most likely Lactobacillus plantarum. It's just the one that tends to hang out on plant matter.
Okay. Do you inoculate your plants with any kind of microbiome stuff?
No, they're alive in general, so I never spray them. I don't foliar. I don't do any of that. But I do use living soil. I have worms. I stick to strictly living. I don't ever add anything that could be a chelator or that could upset the microlife. And then if I want a tea or something like that, I culture it out of my living containers. I use kind of hyperoxygenation. So I always use aerated water, and I always have air available to my roots. So as a result, I tend to get a shit ton of microlife. Like sometimes I'll take liquid out of the bottom of one of these, right? I'll put it in a cup and I'll just transfer back and forth for a little bit to introduce some oxygen, let it sit, and it'll foam up.
Is that what you were talking about last night in chat, that you collect your IMOs from the bottom? Oh, I think you said it at the start of this show as well, but I kind of tuned in halfway through.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's why I like to use these, is because, I mean, A, they get really good air to the bottom. B, I can make teas in the bottom of here if I want. If I want to put something in here, I can turn it into like a tea or something like that. But then it also gives me access. Any water overflow, I can either take and reintroduce it right into the top because it's the same environment. It's not like I'm leaching salts because I'm all organic and I don't add anything really in a salt form. So as a result, that water is captured. I try to never waste a bit of water. So if I want a tea or something, I just pull a little bit out of here. I can put it in a cup and then I can build that colony up just like I would a beer starter.
That's very cool, man. I like that a lot.
Basics of fermentation, man. If you learn how to make beer, you learn how to make cheese. I make vinegar. I make all this kind of stuff. It's all really easy once you learn it. Like sourdough bread, sauerkraut, it's all the same shit. And once you learn the basics of it, you can ferment anything you got laying around, just so you don't lose it.
I was going to say it's kimchi, I think. Kimchi and kombucha are going to be my next explorations into fermentation. I did the labs collection and fermentation. I got that sitting. I've kind of been using that to attempt to micronize certain plants, just in case my soil plants I'm running at the minute don't work so well. But playing with fermentation's really cool, man. It's just I kind of started with EM as well, so I always have that like safety net. If shit starts turning the wrong color, I'm like, maybe I'll inoculate this with something positive just in case.
See, my idea is why not take that sample of EM, because it is just fermentation and bioreaction. Why don't we just take that EM, make a 5-gallon bucket for it, and then just keep making it over and over again. That way you keep drawing off pitching, and you can just have an endless supply off one bottle.
I've got a rather large supply of bottles, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was kind of the idea with the labs collection. I was like, well, this gets me out of the loop if I ever actually run out of bottles. But that stuff goes a freaking long way.
So you got EM1 there.
Yeah, I got some EM1 up here. I didn't just use it, but this is some aloe and some yucca I just put in the water.
Nice.
That's gonna
If anybody
go
has
for guys. But
fermentation
yeah, I got
questions, ask me.
EM1 up here. I'm making some. I'm actually making some labs upstairs. I did the rice wash, and it's sitting. It's kind of cold, so yeah, I think it's ready. So right, so I just take. What the hell do you do? Pour brown sugar in it, right, or something like that. I forget.
That's it. They take this, which is the rice wash, right? This is basically
Yep.
the microorganism captured and all you do is take this, and when you're ready to use it, add it to sugar water, and it takes off. So I have bottles of these just around from making rice from when I cook. So I'll save the rice water, and then it's still active. Like you'll hear when you open it, there'll be a little pressure on it because this is a vinegar bottle. So you'll notice that little bit of pressure is a sign the microorganism's still technically alive, and it got a little bit of sugar off that rice. So when you're ready, just add it to sugar water, and your fermentation takes off. So
Okay.
a lot of these products.
Quick question. How do you use these fermentation products? I mean, I don't. So I'm interested to know when you're making these various fermentations and you see people making like banana fermentations, etc. What do you actually do? I mean, talk everybody through the process. I mean, as in like, okay, now I have my final fermentation. What am I doing with it? What am I expecting to get from it? What's the benefit that it brings to my grow?
Just to be clear, I don't use any of these products. I do fermentations for food purposes. I do fermentations for all kinds of stuff. But when it comes to growing, I just use water. I use water with oxygen, and the only ferment I might do is stuff I take out of here. That kind of keeps my culture. Just like doing sourdough, I'm trying to keep this culture going and keep it the same. So, but the reason we do fermentation in general is micronization, basically, is what they're going through. When we do their first step, usually in KNF and a lot of that stuff, is to start with beer, right? The reason you start with putting it into that environment is there's only a small set of microorganisms that can live at that pH and with alcohol tolerance. They are lactobacilli and typically yeast. Those are the only things that can stand to be in there. Then there's also some things known as acetobacters, which GMO, if you want to make some kombucha, I made it on Eagle Show. I can run you through it. It's super easy.
Oh yeah, it's on my save list. It's on my save list, man. I'm gonna watch it live while I'm trying to do it.
So dude, get me on IG. I'll walk you through it. I don't care. So the whole idea of fermentation is you're starting with a larger chain, right? A starch, amylose or amylopectin, and that same thing when you're talking bananas and all that stuff. Every food product we have is basically a series of starches or celluloses, things like that. They're long chain molecules and they're all locked up and they have reducing ends. So like, for example, in sugars, there's a 1,4 reducing linkage that you can actually use to break the sugar down from long chain molecules, which is we call starches, amylose, amylopectin, to individual sugars. And they're different sizes to start with. So like a starch called amylopectin looks like a willow tree. It's huge, but there's less of them. Then there's amylose, which is more like a stick, and there's way more of them. So by weight, there's more amylose than amylopectin. But all their reducing ends are limited. So that's why enzymes have to be able to go in, start the process of reduction. And this is a lot of what Smiley's always talking about, these reductive processes. It's going to start breaking these long chain starches down to sugars. These sugars are then consumable at a smaller level to start the Krebs cycle, right? So that's essentially what you're doing in all these ferments, in all these products. You're starting with long chain molecules. You're creating an environment that's only going to host organisms that can break down the long chains to the shorter chains that you want that are consumable by organisms like us, basically. So that's the real process that you're going through by creating this liquid environment. You're using hydrolytic enzymes, literally enzymes that function in water. Now they have temperature ranges, true, but those temperature ranges are only optimums. They all work as soon as they're wet. So I start converting starch to sugar as soon as the beer gets wet. So the same thing is true in those ferments. And that's why they take a long time sometimes, because even though they're not held at ideal temperatures or whatever, they're still going to go through the process just given enough time. So once you've taken these things, you put them through a ferment of whatever type, using whatever kind of microorganism you're going to use, it's all going to do the same thing. Reduce it down, reduce it down, reduce it down until it can go into the basis of the Krebs cycle, become food for something, and it's going to spit out byproducts, basically. Those byproducts are what we are eventually feeding to all these things. Now, if you're actually spraying a live lactobacillus organism on something, that organism, some of them produce hydrogen peroxide. Some of them, Renosi, I think, they produce things that are toxic to other lactobacillus even, that push them out of the way. So depending on what live organisms you're spraying, that's one thing. But in most of these ferments, you've gone through such a process of micronization and fermentation, you're not really pitching a bunch of live organisms anymore. So really what you're doing is using fermentation to take long chain molecules, make them tiny components, and then giving that as plant available stuff. Is that a reduction enough view of it?
So what do the different plant fermentations produce? Hey, cheers, Raptor, if you're heading out, buddy. Have a great evening or whatever you're up to.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna jump off, grab some food, do a little bit of I already did all the cleaning that I need to do, so I just need to sterilize where I'm working real quick, and then I'm gonna be doing some actors. I think it was 4 months that was asking me to. It's like, oh yeah, kind of a little nudge, like, hey, you haven't really updated us on anything, and that's because I've been making agar cultures. I've been actually making the plates for the cultures to go on. So I got all that done. I'm going to be doing that. I'll make a video and I'll post it on IG. I'm not going to name any names. So if anyone has any questions on that, I will ignore it in the comments. But if direct message me, basically.
And where can everybody find you just before you sign off?
You can find me on Instagram at RaptorGrow, and I'm also looking into transitioning into Cannabuzz to post on there more often. So I would like to transition the majority of the pictures that I already have from Instagram on there, just in case I have a little backup. I obviously have this all backed up on my computer, but it sucks to have to do that all at once. I have yet to have that happen to me, but I just want to prepare for anything, any purges or anything like that. I'm already established, and I will be looking into the growroom420.com for their forums. It was GMO that invited me, not Kino. Apologies, Kino.
Everyone's invited you, man. We're a welcoming community.
Yeah,
and I just gate bashed, so.
Everyone's welcome. This is the thing. It's like one of these shows. You don't need an invite to turn up and listen.
What you don't realize is it's a UK environment, so you cunts are all welcome.
Yeah, I like the language.
To use the word cunt in its correct terminology, you're all welcome.
Nice. I'll make sure to keep that in mind. Like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, term of endearment. God.
Term of endearment, yeah. It's my mate Raptor. He's a right cunt.
Check this guy here. This fucking guy.
That's not how you use it.
Okay. So we would use just like how you guys use cunt. We would just say, "Oh, this fucking guy right here." Yeah. Okay. Totally. I was combining the two. Not right.
I've just taken
totally different setup. Yeah.
I'm being a right cunt.
Yeah. It's always good talking with you all. GMO and Kino, like GMF mentioned before, you're welcome to jump on. We're on tonight is our Buds and Brews, and we'll be on 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 Eastern Standard Time, and we're on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
6 a.m. UK time. I mean, it's fine.
Hey, man,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
might still be up trimming. I mean, thank you very much for the invite. It's been real cool talking to you, dude. Because I have been like stalking you on Instagram and all these shows. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's weird
Oh, cool.
knowing people from their voices, but they don't really know you so much from the outside. It's like meeting semi-celebrities.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. That's very flattering. Thank you so much. All I try to do is like, I've been stuck inside like many of us, and I might as well give a little, give updates on what's going on in my garden. And now that I'm expanding my garden into mushrooms, and I actually have my tissue culture supplies coming. Before I had to put that on hold, just some money issues on my end. But yeah, hopefully everyone has a great day or night, regardless of where you are. And yeah, everything should be updated. I'll take a video and post that up. That might even be my first Cannabuzz and Grow Room 420 post. But I'm also thinking, since Cannabuzz, I might just do uh, move my stuff from beginning to end over there. I'll still have to figure it out. Yeah, I might just do the mushroom, the first post, to make it like memorable. But yeah, you guys are awesome. It's always a great time talking and listening with you guys. I'll still be listening. Just gotta grab some food and take care of everything. Have a good one, everyone.
All right, buddy.
Enjoy your food, man.
Stay safe.
See you, Raptor.
Later, Purple.
See you on
Good talking
Jimmy.
with you, man. Yeah,
See you,
yeah.
buddy.
Hope you jump
Yeah.
on too.
Possibly.
The Purple, it looked like you were going through some stem popping and super
Oh
cropping.
yeah. Yeah, a little, playing give him a little love, eating a leaf as I'm sitting here. Pull a
Very
leaf
nice.
off. Sometimes I eat them, but
That's what I call a bricks test, man. That's what I do. I actually eat a little piece, or I'll taste it for sweetness. Like that's exactly what I do.
I've got to be careful. Sometimes, you get really peppery ones. It's like, oh my God. Like I've had really very peppery leaves before. I can't remember on what strains, but yeah, sometimes they're spicy. Yeah, they're just going through, giving her a little twist, maybe a little
Good
love.
to see. I'm not the only
twisting and
one who
popping.
does the tasting part though. That's awesome. I got one that tastes
Yeah.
like Play-Doh right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them taste really good. I enjoyed all of the plant. As much as I can. You didn't eat it enough. You should right. Normally, if you try something so many times, well, not always, but you end up liking it, like kombucha.
Oh hell yeah! Especially like some things are just strong for the palate at first, but it grows on you. And nice thing about making things like kombucha is you can change up the base for it. You can just tweak it to your. Anytime you make something, you can make it to your liking. I think that's the beauty about like home cooking and stuff. It's always to what you want. So the same thing with kombucha. You can change up your base. You don't have to do tea. You can do fruit juice. You can do tea and fruit juice. You can do, ginger ale. You can do all kinds of stuff for bases. You don't have to just use and you can mix them too. So it's kind of like growing. There's no reason not to play with it since it's all at your fingertips.
Seeing as you mentioned fermentation again, I've got to ask, when you've got rice wash just sitting around, do you just skip the milk ferment stage, or do you still do that when you want to create lactic acid culture?
If I wanted to turn this into a lactic acid culture, basically by feeding it to milk, I'm just using the lactose, the high presence of lactose to ramp it up. So it's all a matter of how fast I want it to ramp up. So absolutely, you just nailed it. Like if I really wanted it now and I wanted it immediately, damn right, it'd go right into milk. You just nailed it. But if like me, I'm just leaving this stuff sit around and I don't even grow with it. I use it outdoors. I just pour it on my strawberries and on my zucchinis and stuff like that. I don't even use this stuff indoors. Like I said, the only cultures I take are out of my own pots. But so I just let this sit in my garage over winter while I'm cooking rice and stuff. And then I have it for next summer. And then in that case, I pour it directly into the pot. But absolutely, if I wanted to turn this into a labs, right into milk it goes.
What does it bring to the party?
I want to make labs. Sorry to jump in, but the reason I'm trying to make labs is to have that. Her Raptor saying, it kills actually or eats on mold and mildew, right? Like say in a mildew basement.
It doesn't.
Or that's
denatures
that's
them,
its
doesn't
food
it?
source, right? Well,
Well,
grows
no.
on it or something helps with it, right?
GMO is closer. What it does is there are a lot of strains of lactobacillus produce hydrogen peroxide. Being oxygen tolerant is because it's able to grow in what we call microphilic and which is just low oxygen environments. That's what lactobacillus can do with the right strains anyway. Most of them produce hydrogen peroxide, and that's what they're doing. So they're eating sugars. These are all sugars that they're going after. They just happen to be very good at eating lactose and producing lactic acid, but they don't have to. They can eat all kinds of things. Because they're called lactobacillus, they produce lactic acid, but they can make lactic acid from any sugar source, right? So all you're looking to do in this case, what you're talking about, why you would spray a live lactobacillus culture, because there's many cultures. You can make a culture that ramps up, then the culture dies, and you're feeding the dead bodies of the cultures, and those are largely a nitrogen boost or food for other microorganisms. Or you can create a culture that is alive, and in which case you're spreading this live culture. And in that case, you would be creating hydrogen peroxide on the surfaces as the lactobacillus goes through its life cycle, that on the surface that you've sprayed it on, that surface is now creating, that the bacteria is creating small amounts of hydrogen peroxide all over that surface. Does that make sense?
Does to me. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what will help, so I'm trying to help with somebody with that. My mother's got some mold in the basement or mildew, and trying to get rid of it. So
the
that's
old
my
idea
goal
of spraying milk,
for
right,
now.
is you're doing two things. You are changing the pH of the surface of the surface. That's happening. That does happen. But you're also feeding Lactobacillus plantarum a sugar source, right? And so that's able to produce small amounts of hydrogen peroxide.
Because that's one thing that's always confused me about what's interesting is you see people producing the fermentation extract, but you very rarely see them then going into like how they use it. And that's the annoying bit. You're like, okay, so what are you doing with this? Because I see people making like banana fermentations.
Okay.
And like, okay, so what are you using that for? I mean, okay, like I know
Banana.
I know what banana gives you. I mean,
Right.
from a chemical perspective, I understand what banana gives, but
So you're micronizing that component.
example. I mean, maybe if I said like if you were using apricots, to make a fermentation.
Well, that's different. There's like FPJs, which a lot of the time they're trying to harvest wild microbes, and then you've got the micronization that GMF already mentioned. So it's like if you
my question still is though, what does that bring to the party?
Well, you're fast forwarding
microbes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say you're fast forwarding the availability of what would have been broken down if it was decomposed. So you're just getting it already plant available.
It's rapid decomposition.
So like working with salts.
Yeah, pretty much. You're
I was
pretty much
waiting for it.
making
I was
I'm not sure
you
if
don't need a chelating agent because these are micronized items that microorganisms
So it's
can
already
uptake,
been broken down, ready for the plant to uptake without any effort.
Yeah,
but without the need of a chelating agent.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
no effort.
I'm sure it's something to do with the redox and how you've got a certain amount of electrons that the plant actually can't take up once it's over a certain value for weight of the chemical element it's trying to take up. But once it's micronized, it's a lot less chemically heavy.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. It's kind of like, think of it this way, a beer bottle, right? You have CO2 and O2. The CO2 is a bigger molecule because it's got a carbon, so it can't get out through the bottle cap. The O2 is a smaller molecule because it lacks the carbon, so it can get in through the bottle cap.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just going to do this for the sake of irony, but you do understand the irony in which us salt growers see the organic growers when you rock up with your 37 bottles of different organic mediums and ways of doing things, and we go, yeah, but that's no different to what we're doing.
It's not, but it's more closed house. It's like, look what I can prepare, and haven't had to buy anything.
Oh yeah, okay. Maybe you haven't had to buy anything, but the difference is, in terms of consistency, which is where, okay, and that's the, okay, so you're, in terms of like the beer culture approach, it's to say that Budweiser, Heineken, whoever, they can produce consistently the same thing, bang on everything, and everywhere in the world they can do the same
It's just
thing.
not that good, but you're absolutely right.
It doesn't, but that's the point. It might not be that good, but you know, each to their own. And
The
what you
masses
find,
drink it.
yeah, but each to their own. I mean, you got to understand that each to their own, and that's the difference between salts and organics. Is the salts, and that's what I mean by, like, when you want to get into terroir, you're talking organics. You're not talking salts, because what I can do with salts is I can reproduce the same grow environment anywhere in the world.
I think the
Now, if
terminology
I'm
is slightly out,
talking
man.
about,
All right, you're making me get out the bag.
It's synthetics and organics, because at the end of the day, organics require some form of salts.
yeah,
But
well, I mean,
synthetics
to me,
you covered already
it's
with
all
PGRs.
organic. It's all organic. I mean, yeah, salts are organic too. It doesn't. It's
Yeah,
more whether
it's how
it's
it's
sourced. It's whether it's ethically sourced. Is the
And
big
what
question.
processes have gone through to make it the compound I'm trying to add.
And
Like
with
in
this-
America, I'm pretty sure all the seaweeds have to go through like a high pH treatment. Like I'm not sure if it's an acid bath or whatnot, but it kind of takes away from.
I mean, I'm
the
overly
natural vibe.
simplifying it for purpose of example, but you know, it's one of those weird things where you see, like, okay, so these organic guys arrive at the table with these 37 bottles, and you go, okay,
Yeah.
we arrive at the bottle with the same 37 bottles, but just in a slightly different way. And so, I agree. If you go down and you buy from the grow store, and I'm a big advocate for look what's on the bottle and understand that you can pop down to the farm store and buy the same shit for a third of the price, like a quarter of the price, not even a third. But the same way that you going out and buying organic alfalfa there, I can go and buy that same bag in terms of potash for a fraction of the price and buy like a 20-kilo potash bag, and it costs me nothing if I know where to go and get it.
Yeah, but then
That
you're
would
going to have
be-
to add back the tricantanol and the oxins that you're getting naturally occurring.
Yeah, but that comes
like-
down to how much am I prepared to pay for it.
Well,
Yeah,
and here's the
absolutely.
thing.
Well, how are you
can
going to
get
source
more
it?
cheaper if you break the things down yourself. You're right. Bottles are bottles, and that's why I don't argue the difference between I don't argue the difference between organic and not organic. That's a fool's argument. I think I agree with you. The argument is between bottle and not bottle. The argument is whether or not you're shipping water, and the argument is whether or not you're breaking down. You're taking the thing
I
and
believe in
breaking it down
true-
for micronization yourself rather than buying it in a micronized form. I don't buy anything in a micronized form. I take it and I break it down myself and then make it available.
And my preferred
make
way
sense?
of using nutrients for chilies is to buy powdered nutrients. I don't like buying liquid nutrients. I much prefer buying powdered nutrients. And and I will advocate the greenhouse powder feed range because it works really well. And the
But the
bonus
powders you're
is,
buying, you're not breaking down yourself. You're not micronizing them yourself. Yeah.
but you're
that's the
buying
difference.
and you're buying a powder. So I have. Okay, yeah. I'm lucky to be in a position where I get given shit. Fair enough. But I'm also in a position where I don't take the piss, to be honest. And I'm given by greenhouse powder feed, like a kilo of each thing. And I'm like, okay, fine, but that's going to last me the next 2-3 years. And that is what I like about powder feed as opposed to bottle feed. And bottle feed being liquidized bottle feeding. I've been running the same. I hear you talk about you buy a tub of this stuff and it lasts you 3 years. Yeah, I bought a 1 kilo bag of. Well, I didn't buy it, but I was given a 1 kilo bag of greenhouse powder feed, and that's lasted me 3 years. And at that point, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You can understand why shops don't like it because I rock up, I buy 1 kilo. You're not going to see me for 3 years again. It's like they don't want that. So you've got your commercial guys who are kind of interested in, I mean, that's why when you read on the back of the pack of nutrients, I mean, Harvard, they are giving you, and this is my, piece of advice to everybody, is that what they give you on the back of the packet of nutrients is this is the maximum level that you can run it at. Not the optimal, but the maximum level you can run it at. And if you halve it, you're probably at the optimal level. And then you just feed it that every single time that you're giving it. You just give it half strength feed or quarter strength feed. And suddenly you'll notice it lasts a lot longer and you're not seeing a detriment to your plants. Not by any means.
Mixing your own salts is definitely
Totally
a lot better
agree
than
with
buying
you.
bottles. Right. I'd like to say all my ferments are free besides like the jar they're in most of the time. Like Comfrey I grow.
I go
like, bananas are a
Comfrey, yeah.
waste. Like,
Comfrey I grow.
yeah, man.
nettles are
Absolutely
bloody
perfect.
everywhere. Marijuana leaves, they always got a few of them laying around. Like,
Hell yeah. Do it for free, bro. Make it yourself. I'm all about that shit.
That's what I think is actually the more important bit, is to rather educate people on, okay, what can you do at home on the organic front rather than buying,
I'm
it's a
new
really
to it,
interesting
man.
dilemma.
Bottles,
I'm a kind of person who says, look, you've got to understand, and then at the end of the day, it's what works for you.
Yeah.
If bottles work for you, go for it. Absolutely. If we're all about that, this plant produces a medicinal effect that we're all interested in. I mean, it's the only drug you take for the side effects, not for the, that's the weird thing about this is like, okay, the side effects is what I'm after. I feel euphoria, I feel less pain, blah, 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 blah. That's why we consume this product. And whatever figures out to produce the best of it. I mean, I don't really care whatever way. I'm data driven. That's my thing. Yeah. I don't really care how you do it. So whatever produces the best product is for you in that environment, in your situation, go for it.
Full respect to that.
I was just kidding, by the way. Not boo anyone. I was just being a jackass, trying to pick fights.
It's always an interesting discussion, man, because people always try and cuss salt grown, but it's literally like, wow. It comes down to the effort of the grower a lot more of the time than the medium it's in.
I mean, look, I've been growing for 20 plus years. I've done it both all the ways. And when it comes down to my specific environment and what I'm limited to, salt growing is the way for me to go. I cannot, in square footage of root zone, I cannot produce what I'm able to produce in soil. I'd have to quadruple the root zone requirement. And that's what I don't think that the organic guys kind of get is when I notice this on some of these channels that I get in chat to, is like, they go, oh no, organics will do it. You go, no. It won't. If we're talking weight production, no. You guys can't come even close to what hydroponics can do. You simply can't. In a 1 liter pot, what I can do with hydroponics, you cannot do with soil. Simple. You can't do it. You don't call it soil at that point. You call it a grow medium if you want to try and beat me at hydroponics. And that's the difference.
Because the only fair measurement is by canopy, not by.
No, it's about by root zone. No, it's about. I can in a 1 liter pot in hydroponics, I can produce 5 ounces. Let me see you do that in organic in a 1 liter pot, so a third of a gallon. Let me see you produce 10 ounces or 5 ounces. You can't. No. A 1 liter pot is this big, dude. I can wrap my hand around it. It's tiny. You can't. I mean, the thing is with hydroponics is you're just giving it what it needs. It doesn't have to search for it. If I want to do the same thing in soil, organic growing, I've got to expand my base marker by quite a bit. And
But it
that's
never has to go bigger than your canopy, though. That you can keep that as big
yeah,
as you
but
can.
in hydroponics, I can make it a tenth of the size of my canopy. That's the point. I can do
Oh,
this
yeah. That's
tiny root zone, and the most efficient growing method is DWC. Plain and simple. I mean, on paper, DWC is the way to grow if you want to grow bulk. And this is where the Operation Grow Show is trying to show what the differences are in these kind of techniques. Is that, okay, so what are you considering to be the quality measure? Is it yield? Is it terpene profile? Is it THC content? Is it CBD content? These are all, I mean, how do we quantify what is considered to be good weed? I mean, what is the, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I've walked away, and my quote is still the same. Any weed that gets you stoned is good weed. Any plane landing you walk away from is a good plane landing. And I've walked away from crash plane landings. I'm talking 737 plane crashes. And you walk away from that, it's a good fucking day. So any weed you smoke is good weed. Sorry, duckweed?
No, sorry.
Was that some background information we were getting there, man?
Yes, man.
Ari unfold, yeah.
Well, hey guys, I should probably dip out too. I got to start making dinner and stuff. It's about that time. It's dinner time here.
Oh, it's only 12:30 over here. What are you bitching about, boy?
Have a good dinner there, GMF. Hopefully we'll see you later.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
nice
no
talking to you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. GMO, it's a pleasure, man.
GMF, GMO, it's all getting confusing.
The pleasure's mine. Like sitting on, like, I feel like what the elder council or something.
I'm an idiot. No. I'm more the hobbit in the room. I just do pipe weed.
I was gonna say, how did I get here?
But do you see where I'm coming from in terms of it's down? I mean, it really is down to what technique suits you.
100%.
I'm an advocate of.
I've seen growers be horrible in soil. I was horrible the first time I tried soil. Like, I didn't understand what I was trying to accomplish. It's taken a long time for me to come back round to what the idea is. But
And I would like to put my, I mean, as I say, I've been growing for 20 plus years. I'd like to put my cocoa grown up against a soil grown and go, okay, what's the difference? You know, what is the genuine difference? What are you picking up on? And that is just down to terroir then. It's not down to, oh, soil is so much better. It's down to terroir. It's like, okay, this generates a different terpene profile to that one.
I think that's when it's like lab tests don't matter if you can't taste the difference. Like if the end user doesn't know there's a difference, is it really worthwhile?
And that I think is, and you could do organic in cocoa. Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm running a cocoa sip system at the minute. Like, it can be done.
Well, and the only reason I get into the one I do is because I think it's easy to teach. That's really where I just start people. And that's the system I use, is so I can teach it to people with stuff that, being here in the Midwest, we have relatively easily available. So that's a lot of what I'm just trying to keep them from having to go to the grocery store, from having to do that stuff, because a lot of them, they have trouble getting out. You know,
but then I would recommend going to your, I mean, okay, look, I'm going to say this. For all the grow rooms that are out, all the grow shops that are out there, you do realize you're selling overpriced product compared to what I can pick up at the local farmers market, because it doesn't come in the some kind of fancy packaging with, sugar tits on the front, which personally I find grossly offensive in this community. I actually think that like the whole bro attitude is fucking nuts.
Word.
I'm, to be honest, as the father of 2 daughters, I can see the bullshit that exists in this fucking world, and drop that crap. Let's get down to, I don't know where I'm going.
Stay on that soapbox. Keep going.
But you know,
I
it's
agree
like,
with you, man.
you know, it should be. It's an even playing field, man. Pick what works. Just go with it. If your environment says I can do organic, great, go organic. If your environment says, like, I can't do that, I've got to do salt, go salt. No one is better than the other. It
Just
really
get your ass
isn't.
growing.
Mm.
Get your ass growing.
It simply isn't any different.
And start a worm bin.
Yeah, worm bin.
Always got to throw that in there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, man.
One of us.
Free
One of
nutrients.
us.
I do actually need to do that.
Worm farm.
They're surprisingly easy, man. If you got like a storage tub, they'll be happy in there over winter.
Yeah, it gets cold up here in Canada too.
Oh, what parts?
I'm Southern Ontario, so it comes a little late, but it gets pretty frosty.
Same here, man.
Like roughly a 3-hour drive from Toronto.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto in the middle of winter when they said, "Oh, -20, it's warming up." I went, "Fuck me, it's not." That's a relative scale. Yeah, -20, you're fucking taking the piss. I remember stepping outside and went, "Oh, it's not so bad, you know, -20, it's just not too bad." Smoking a cigarette, and then a car drove past, and I went, "Okay, hold on a second." Just the wind chill as that car went past, and it whipped around, and I'm like, "Whoa, fuck me, I'm going back inside." No. I got to stay at the W in Toronto. W? I forget what it was called. Nice hotel.
Well, anyway, I'm GMF. Holler at me on Instagram if anyone has any fermentation questions or whatever. Give me a holler. I'd like to be helpful. Same goes for you, GMO. If you want to make some kombucha, give me a holler. I'll walk you through it if you got any questions. And y'all have a great evening. We'll see you over at Fumador and the Flavors if you guys want to join.
What time does that start?
Honestly, I never make it because I always have to cook dinner and stuff like that. So I never make the start. I just jump on when I can. I ain't going to lie. My game crew meets every night too for a couple hours online. So I get online, play video games, and then I got to jump on the Fumi crew.
Busy boy, man.
Oh, good. All good.
Obligations. Yeah, you got a couple hours every night just to keep the skills sharp. So, all right. Much love, peeps. I'll catch y'all later. Thanks, Pete, for making this platform for us misfits. And GMO, thank you, too, for making a platform for all of us to actually have a community. So credit to all you platform creators for making a space for all of us. Thank you all very much.
As I say, Satan has standards, and we're their rejects.
Well, yes, I think I'm gonna make a step out as well, grab some dinner, and get myself in a gear.
Everyone's got to get ready.
Yeah. All good, man.
It was nice
All
hanging
right.
out with you guys. Tyler, GMO, Shipwreck, Purple, and Pete, of course. It was nice hanging out. Catch you in the how do you say, the witching hours on Fumi's stuff later. Oh yeah, and don't forget we have that giveaway. But I think it's entry time is over already.
Did I win yet? No.
almost.
Is that for the October photo competition?
Yeah, our dang photo contest. But I think
photo contest.
Yeah. Time to submit entries goes off like yesterday or today or something.
Nice.
No more.
Nah, man. We had a lock off day. All right, guys. Catch you guys later.
Hey, stay
Chat
safe,
to
dude.
everybody.
It's nice to talk to you.
Cheers, Duckweed. Keep safe, buddy.
Yeah, man. Dude.
I've almost finished my box of trimming. You know, when you get to the end and there's like, they're smaller than golf balls. So it's like, do I just keep knocking you about the tub, or do I actually deal with you now?
I deal with those first.
I put them right in the tub and go to hash wash.
I
it.
put those in the sugar leaf trim jar for. Ooh, I forgot about these. When it comes to that time of the, which is where I'm at the moment. Like, ooh, let me go and dig through the trim jar and see what's in there. You know, hopefully there's a diamond in amongst the rough.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea.
I like that. That means I can just stop. Any reason to book off, I'm in.
Yeah. Everybody's keen to trim the first time. Ask them about the 23rd time. They're like, no, mate. No.
Yeah.
Who can I pay to do this shit?
Kino razzes me because I've got this one strain, Disco Biscuit, that I just love trimming it because there's like 3 leaves. You only have to take off 3 leaves and you've got a collar. Like every bud, a nug is just 1 fan leaf, 2 nice little envelope leaves that wrap it up. Like absolute dream.
The lemon Jeffrey is pretty easy to trim, at least in my experience. It was very easy to trim, super easy.
I look forward to that then.
Yeah, it was
trim
just
some Orange
the
Gasm
fan
tonight.
leaves. Orange Gasm was a pain, right? I don't know. Mine are pretty leafy. How are yours? Pretty leafy?
Same.
Yeah. Oh, but
I got
great,
that and the
great
runt to
stuff.
trim up.
Yeah, how's that runt doing?
Oh, it's all the way for jar. It looks pretty nice, man. I'll send some pics tonight after I'm done handling and just doing the transplant for the show.
Yeah. You know, that orange chasm definitely I mean, I would look if you're new to growing and you want to dive into some decent genetics, I can highly recommend Irie Genetics. Yeah, I'm a fan, to be honest.
Yeah.
Jeff puts out really good stuff, and the nice thing about Jeff is he's contactable. I mean, you can actually get hold of the guy and chat to him, and he'll answer whatever questions you have about his product. I mean, I think that's commendable to him. You need more seed breeders who are willing to come forward and face the public and answer their questions.
Customer services very well.
He's getting a great reputation on the forums, from what I've seen. Just to be a bit old school there, but I've never seen a bad grow from him, from his genetics, to be honest.
Yeah. And I know Jeff personally. I've hung out with him. I've met him enough times, and I mean, it is what you get. You know, what you see on his podcast, what you hear on his podcast, is absolutely 100% genuine. That is a seed breeder I will stand behind. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, in terms of the live broadcast, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for all diving in. I think we're probably pushing, 12:30 over here in the UK, the real time. Rest of your world, set your watches by it. Fucking hell. It's GMT, means mean. Fucking stick with it. And we will hopefully see you all next week. I'm planning on another giveaway next week of the Minder unit, so tune in and you could be a lucky winner. Richard D, please message me. I do owe you, seeing as I so badly called that the other night, I owe you a freebie. Get in contact, we'll get you sorted out. That was terrible of me. But otherwise, everybody in chat, thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody on the panel, thank you for joining in. It's really appreciated. You guys make the show. You can always find myself at PL Grow Systems on Instagram or Operation Grow 2019 on Instagram. Let's do a quick roundup. GMO, where can everybody find you guys?
Hey, I'm always looking on growroom420.com. If you want to check us out, there's always some nice people. If you need any help, there's loads of old heads who are always looking to help some new guys along on the path.
Excellent. And Shipwreck, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me on Instagram, Shipwreck420.
Excellent. Tyler, where can we find you, buddy?
On Facebook and Cannabis, it's The Growing Buds, and on, what one is it? Instagram, it's Shwoobidoo.
Scooby-Doo. Yep, it is. Purple Thumb OG, where can we find you, bud?
I'll be in the chats as usual, and you can find me on IG and on Cannabuzz, but I just can't get onto my account for some reason. But yeah, mostly in chats and in IG. So thanks, Pete, and everyone. Good to see you. Hopefully I'll see you later in chats.
See you guys.
Absolute pleasure. And yeah, don't forget tonight, a little bit later on, it's going to be Brews, Buds, and fuck knows whatever they call themselves these days. They become overly complicated.
Booze, probably.
In the length of the name, I can't remember it. But if you go and search for Fumador and the Flavors, I think if you follow that channel, you'll get all of the notifications you need. There's also the Embracing Organic show on Thursdays or Fridays, depending what part of the world you're in. Grow quickly, 420. What time of the week are you guys in a sensible time zone, of course?
Yeah, 9 p.m. UK time, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday about that time. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how busy the schedule is for everybody else running a YouTube show.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, that's the other thing we want to try and do is try and get everybody together so we can create like a we don't want to split the audience. We want to try and make sure that everybody can flow from one to the other. And yeah, that'd be really cool.
Awesome.
And yeah, don't forget 9 p.m. UK time. You know, that's always the one to check.
Check
So
your
everybody
mean times.
who checked in a little late or early today. My apologies for that. But yeah, it's 9 p.m. UK time for the Operation Grow Show, which is normally at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. New York, 2 p.m. Denver, 1 p.m. LA, and 7:30 in the morning for Australia. Not that Aussie has ever bothered to get up in time for the show, but yeah, maybe next time. And at that note, thanks everybody, and